Waves appeared on the surface of the Sea of Bitterness. A white-haired monk took up his 9-ringed staff, releasing a bright light. The Chan's staff manifested a golden-winged hawk that spread its sky-covering wings and stirred a billowing gale, causing pain in the eyes. In this old monk's surroundings were 2 others, one dressed in a golden kasaya, the other with his chest exposed. The pair's cultivations were entirely exceptional at around supercluster middle stage, more or less. Their chanting grew loud, a Buddhist aura lingering, and several Buddhist tools became mighty and fierce. The Dafen Temple, Wisdom King's sect, Chan school, what is the intent of the 3 Chan masters? Chan Xian's expression sunk. Having ferried across these 7 distresses of the boundless Sea of Bitterness with great difficulty, now, having encountered this 8th distress realm, 3 of Buddha Kingdom's supercluster ancestral Chan masters suddenly hopped out without warning and obstructed their front, using Buddhist incantations and magic weapons, a tumultuous momentum. Benefactors, the Holy Monk's Chan technique is a holy object of our Buddha Kingdom. Star Masters and Star General inherently should not stick their hands in this matter. We ask for benefactors to quickly return. The Chan Master Great Enlightenment of the Dafen Temple put his hands together, his expression courteous and deferential, but below the surface was a rejection without the slightest hesitation. The Masters of the Wisdom King sect and the Chan school also coldly stared at them. After this, 2 Chan masters approached from the Sea of Bitterness. There was no need to say they were all supercluster ancestor cultivation, each the principle of a Buddhist sect. 5 supercluster ancestors inside the 7-floor stupa pagoda's Sea of Bitterness surrounded Su Xing, Wu Xiao, Qingzi, and Chan Xian in the blink of an eye. These Chan masters normally spoke of cultivating Buddha natures, of ferrying all living things, but if things actually involved the Buddha Kingdom's holy objects, those temperaments and Chan comprehensions were fleeting. 5 Chan masters really is giving face. Su Xing laughed. This battle formation of more or less peak supercluster ancestors in the Buddha Kingdom had more or less assembled for the sake of thwarting his plans. Su Xing did not believe them. If this place did not have the traces of the Buddha Kingdom's 6 ancestors, how could Su Xing have possibly ever believed them? Your servant wonders which 6 ancestor made you surprisingly give up in the Sea of Bitterness and instead obstruct us. Are the great masters honestly willing to do something like helping someone else make a bridal gown? Chan Master Great Enlightenment and the others looked at each other in dismay. Su Xing had guessed correctly. Before his group had come to the Sea of Bitterness, Aratha suggested that the Chan masters thwart Heavenly Solitary Star Chan Xian. The Heavenly Solitary Star was known as a legendary star general that was also unique and unmatched in Buddhism. Buddha Kingdom's 6 ancestors had difficulty giving rise to ill feeling, and for this reason, they wanted to have others force Chan Xian out of the 7-floor stupa pagoda. Let alone that the Dafen Temple and the other Chan masters were all overseers, even the words uttered by a Buddha Kingdom's 6 ancestor had never needed consideration. Besides, even the chief great master Still Void also vaguely approved. The Chan masters were without a way out, however, Aratha and the other 6 ancestors hinted that they would propagate to them the Holy Monk's Chan technique. It was for this reason they would be perfectly willing to do this. After all, these great masters also understood that the Holy Monk's Chan technique was not something they could go comprehend. Chan Master Great Enlightenment's tone sunk. Benefactor, poor monk is also thinking of you all. Buddha says, all living things follow an unattainable true realm of Dharma, only recognizing the mark of all dharmas, the reason for distinguishing the sickness of attachment. We ask that benefactors do not cling to the Holy Monk's Chan technique nor the 5 dragons colored glass lamp. We also ask you leave this place. That's pompous. Su Xing sneered. Everything of the body is reflected in the mirror, all is empty as flowers and a moon in the water. Confused about arguments, the disciple is angry. Another Chan school Chan master also warned them without much Chan logic. Is this the meditative mind Dharma that you seek, Chan Xian? Su Xing seemingly smiled, directing his gaze at the heavenly solitary star. This Dharma is not my Dharma, Chan Xian was calm. Well spoken. Su Xing struck his palm, praising. The Chan master's expressions were sharp. Facing the heavenly solitary star and others, they did not dare be careless. Persuasive at the same, every sort of ability and artifact already were fully charged. Benefactors are incapable of abandoning thought, how could you possibly seek the holy monk's great way? If you insist on refusing, poor monks will ferry benefactors in this sea of bitterness. Do the great masters insist on driving us away? Qingxi lightly smiled. We are not driving you away at all, rather, we are thinking of benefactors. This is not an item benefactor can obtain. Excessive insistence will contrarily hurt yourself. Your mouth bursts with lilies, however, so mediocre. Wu Xiao coldly said. The harm star instantly acted, losing all interest in conversing with these great masters. The moment Wu Xiao made her move, Su Xing and Qingxi also no longer hesitated. Chan Master Great Enlightenment and the others long already had defenses. Practically from the start of Wu Xiao's attack, a brewing power smashed through. Heavenly Dance Treasure Wheel. 2. 9-Ring Staff of the Akala Wisdom King. 3. Sound of Thunder Sutra. Chan Master Great Enlightenment chanted. A 6 paths treasure wheel appeared, its multicolored light radiating everywhere. Upon it were interweaving incantations of Brahmanistic scripts and Buddhist characters. The spiritual power of the 6 paths was carved upon it, flickering with light. It also vaguely had Asuras and Arhats, a yellow-turbaned strong man. That 9-ring Chan staff also had bright Buddhist light. Showing itself off, the 9 rings jingled, releasing a Buddhist hawk, its pressure seemingly squeezing the great sea of bitterness very violently. Besides this, the other 3 Chan masters Sound of Thunder Sutra and others also were abnormally powerful. With 5 supercluster Buddhist cultivators mounting a union attack, even a supervoid stage cultivator would not necessarily be able to handle this. Even if the legendary star generals were any more powerful, this was only the 3rd phase after all. The powers and Buddhist aura of the 5 great Chan masters immediately pressed down without any gaps. A range of 100 li in the sea of bitterness was suddenly enveloped within. The oppressive sea of bitterness world drizzled at that time with various Buddhist light, changing the atmosphere. The other shore of the sea of bitterness was a small island. There was a set of stone gates, and in front of the stone gates sat a yellow-browed boy. Aratha, Great Master Still Void, Senior Monk Extreme Happiness, and Chan Master Jia Yi stepped foot onto the shore in succession. The 8 distresses of the body was also abnormally difficult for these Buddha Kingdom's 6 ancestors with peak cultivation, however, in the end, they had endured the trial. As expected of Great Master Still Void, the 8 distresses truly was not the least bit useful against Great Master. Aratha laughed aloud, praising him. Great Master Still Void was aloof, calm as water, only staring at the gate of the shore. Only when everyone who is capable of scaling the shore have arrived will this gate open. The yellow-browed boy indifferently explained. Great Master Still Void bowed his head in understanding, sitting in meditation to the side. Boom! A dazzling Buddhist light suddenly flashed above the sea of bitterness. Immediately, several of the ancestors sitting in meditation had their gazes drawn away. Aratha happily said, "This truly is too good. If I do not enter hell, then who will enter hell? Truly, your servant must thank the great masters. This heavenly solitary star will not be able to come. Aratha, you made the other great masters go face the heavenly solitary star." Chan Master Jia Yi's expression sunk. Great Master Jia Yi, why do you say these words? Chan Master Great Enlightenment and the others grasped the realization of, if I do not enter hell, then who will enter hell, and have gone to prevent the holy monk's robe and bowl from falling into Maiden Mountain's hand. This is a meritorious deed, do you wish to discuss how to act? Aratha was also nonchalant. Senior Monk Extreme Happiness agreed, what Aratha says is true. Chan Master Jia Yi shook his head, shutting his eyes in contemplation. However, star generals are not easy to handle, and there is also that harm star and star master. Poor monk actually is somewhat anxious for those great masters. Senior Monk Extreme Happiness was grave. He had fought with Wu Xiao and the others and naturally knew that 5 supercluster ancestors would not necessarily be able to seize the advantage. It was even possible they possibly could lose the whole chicken over a bit of rice. Aretha smiled in disagreement, bowing his head towards Great Master Still Void. This matter is thanks to Great Master Still Void. What do you mean? Senior Monk Extreme Happiness asked. The 5 Great Masters have carved their flesh to feed the hawk. Even if they cannot handle the Star General, so long as the Heavenly Solitary Star makes a move, she will lose the qualifications to succeed the Holy Monk's robe and bowl. Senior Monk Extreme Happiness Chan nature was not high. He clearly did not understand. What this sea of bitterness tests is a hardship. Buddha says, the sea of bitterness is boundless, turn your head and there is the other shore, lay down the butcher's knife, become Buddha on the spot. Since we have ferried across the sea of bitterness, if in the sea of bitterness one takes up angry karma, they will not have the qualifications. Yellow-browed boy, what poor monk says must be. Aretha laughed aloud. That boy indifferently answered. Precisely. Senior Monk Extreme Happiness struck his palm, then wiped his cold sweat in passing. Wonderful, truly wonderful. He originally had thought to seize the sea of bitterness as a chance to fight Su Xing. Fortunately, he knew he was not an opponent. Otherwise, he would have made a serious mistake. This is but what Great Master Still Void inadvertently leaked. Aretha laughed. The 2 words, inadvertently leaked, were very intriguing. Great Master Still Void is worthy of being the chief of the Buddha Kingdom's 6 ancestors. Obtaining the Holy Monk's robe and bowl, obtaining the Great Way, this is imminent. Senior Monk Extreme Happiness bootlicked. Great Master Still Void did not care one bit. Senior Monk Extreme Happiness laughed out of embarrassment. Happiness Monk, you truly are stupid. Have you not seen that Great Master Still Void has borrowed a blade to kill someone, out of not wishing to stain his own karma? Your boot licking has licked his ass instead. 5. A mocking voice resounded. They saw the Mirror Flower Nunnery's abbess Water Moon and a yellow-clothed person walked onto the shore. The derisive laugh was from the one in yellow clothes. Due to the hood concealing him, they could not see his appearance, but they could imagine his jeering expression. This yellow-clothed man's words were especially daring. The moment he spoke, he offended both Senior Monk Extreme Happiness and Great Master Still Void. The Senior Monk Extreme Happiness that just happened to be annoyed bubbled with rage. However, thinking of the sea of bitterness karma, he forcibly suppressed his anger. Humph. Great Master Still Void opened his eyes, shooting a beam of light, seemingly displeased. A cultivator of the Azure Dragon territory. When Aretha saw the yellow-clothed person, he immediately showed dissatisfaction towards Abbess Water Moon. Abbess Water Moon, how could you bring an Azure Dragon territory cultivator here? Does he have the qualifications to come to this Stupa Pagoda Pure Land? This is one of Poor Nun's good friends from the Azure Dragon. Today, Poor Nun has specially brought him to pay a visit to Buddha West Approaches. There is no other purpose at all. Abbess Water Moon explained. This benefactor spoke off the cuff just now. This matter will be forgiven with an apology. Aretha looked down on the other party. The yellow-clothed man laughed. The Buddhist 6 ancestors are slick and sly, as expected, and you wish to act a good person. Are you selling a favor to us too? The plans in his heart having been revealed by the yellow-clothed man's words, Aratha's expression was very unsightly. The Dharma sect's Buddha nearly wanted to make a move, when he similarly barely suppressed his fury like Senior Monk Extreme Happiness did upon thinking of the sea of bitterness karma. Azure Dragon territory cultivators are fond of taking advantage of misunderstandings. Man, 6, if you can get within 3 chi of your servant will immediately leave this 7-floor stupa pagoda. How about it? The yellow-clothed person laughed. These words were practically a naked provocation. Brazen. Aretha laughed. Practically the moment the yellow-clothed person finished speaking, he pounced at the yellow-robed person. But just when he approached the 3 chi mark, there was suddenly a resistance that stiffly forced Aretha outside 3 chi. He was unable to move an inch closer, and the complexion of the Buddhist 6 ancestor greatly changed. If you are unable to come within 3 chi, you will go call off those belligerents, how about it? The yellow-clothed man put both his hands behind his back, the epitome of calm. Aratha was humiliated, activating his Vajra Dharma characteristic. But regardless of how hard he tried, that range of 3 chi was like a celestial moat, completely impregnable. The yellow-clothed man yelled in seeming rebuke, sending Aratha flying. The ancestral masters alongside great masters still void one by one felt disbelief. To be able to make the supervoid Aratha completely unable to fight back, only a supervoid late-stage great cultivator could achieve this. Aratha's fury turned into shock and caution. What adept is this benefactor? Great Master Still Void respectfully asked. Do not tell them. The yellow-clothed man was bored. Abyss Water Moon was without a choice, but her eyes clearly told the rest of her compatriots, it was best to not provoke the yellow-clothed person. The group was silent, astonished within their thoughts. Since you have lost, are you not going to invite that Star General over? Your servant actually is very curious. The yellow-robed person said to Aratha. When did poor monk ever promise you? Aratha merely pretended to not have heard. The yellow-clothed person shook his head, very disappointed. Because this Azure Dragon Territory cultivator had arrived, the Buddha Kingdom's 6 ancestors on the other shore that originally had a relaxed atmosphere immediately felt very unsettled and odd, heavy as a mountain, more oppressive than the Sea of Bitterness. Actually, the yellow-clothed person seemed indifferent. The originally arrogant and egotistical Aratha and Senior Monk Extreme Happiness did not say anything more, only focusing on meditating on reciting scripture nearby. Calming their minds, receiving the final trial, that former pride of not allowing that holy object of Buddha Kingdom to touch the fingers of others had been turned into a clownish joke before overwhelming might. Not long after, another monk reached the other shore. Everyone opened their eyes. Great Master Shenhui, you have also come. Great Master Still Void bowed his head. The other 6 ancestors were all exceptionally deferential. Great Master Shenhui was Cold Tang Kingdom's state teacher, assisting Emperor Tang. His cultivation was supervoid middle stage. If he was in the Buddha Kingdom, he was a character equivalent to a 6 ancestor chief. It was only because that he was to assist Emperor Tang declare Dharma that he left the Buddha Kingdom. Inside Buddha Kingdom, he could be promoted to a character truly like a holy monk. Great masters are all here. Great Master Shenhui slightly smiled and put his hands together. Upon seeing the yellow-clothed person, he showed a surprised expression. He evidently felt the yellow-clothed person's power, also deferentially saluting. Yellow-browed boy, right now, everyone is here, should we not be leaving? Aratha asked. There are still some who have yet to ascend the shore. The yellow-browed boy shut his eyes. Who else is there? Aratha was confused. He gazed at the Sea of Bitterness, practically unable to see any Buddhist cultivators that were ferrying across the Sea of Bitterness. After all, without the cultivation and endurance levels of a Buddha Kingdom's 6 ancestor, how could an ordinary person cross this borderless Sea of Bitterness? The yellow-browed boy pointed at that measureless Buddhist aura, which was precisely the place the heavenly solitary star and cultivators were dueling. They have already polluted their karma, too, in the Sea of Bitterness. This is what you said, they have lost the qualifications, what are we waiting for? Aratha's tone was heavy. Naturally, there is karma. 3. The yellow-browed boy answered no more. It seems your plan was not so perfect, ha, ha. The yellow-clothed man derisively laughed. Aratha's expression was unsightly. Shifting the camera shot back to Su Xing's side, when the 5 supercluster ancestors simultaneously attacked, that honestly was a change in the atmosphere. Earth-shattering, violent waves were stirred in the Sea of Bitterness. Under such an attack, even if a Star General could block, they would be forced to use full power. Just at this moment, a yellow book soared into the air. This book flipped open, and a brown airflow bubbled out. A seeming heavenly canopy enveloped Su Xing and the others within. That brown heavenly canopy looked easy to break, but regardless of whatever powerful ability the Chan masters used, their star energy seemed to sink into a great ocean, disappearing without a trace. Earth Book of Empress 2, Chan Master Great Enlightenment was shocked. Why would he have this sort of spirit treasure? The Chan masters had sinister gazes. With a glance, they discerned this Earth Book surprisingly already evolved into a prehistoric spirit treasure. The Earth Book flowed with an aura that was like an impenetrable wall, absorbing every one of their attacks. Right now, it isn't too late for regrets. Su Xing was expressionless. He had not yet given Empress Tua psychic communication, otherwise, she would have frightened these old monks to death. 5. Since this is so, even more reason to not allow the holy monk's bowl and alms to fall into their hands. Chan Master Great Enlightenment screamed. The other hesitant Chan masters immediately nodded. They stowed their powers, surrounded Su Xing and the others, not making a move, but they did not have any intentions of regret. They made clear they wanted to waste the magic energy of Empress Tu's Earth Book. If you won't make a move, then I won't be polite. Su Xing thought, glancing at Wu Xiao. The Harm Star understood tacitly. You cannot act. Chan Xian suddenly shouted. Chan Xian, what are you saying? Su Xing was bewildered. If you pollute the Sea of Bitterness karma, you will lose your qualifications. Chan Xian calmly said. What? The Sea of Bitterness is boundless, yet a turn of the head is the other shore, lay down the butcher's knife, become Buddha on the spot. This Sea of Bitterness tests the body's 8 distresses. If you make a move, you will pollute your karma, and this Sea of Bitterness will be uncrossable. Chan Xian's explanation was the same as Great Master Still Void's. Su Xing and the others were immediately stupefied upon hearing this. Worthy of heavenly solitary star flowery monk Lu Zhishan. This Sea of Bitterness mystery was seen through with a glance. Pity that you are a star general of Maiden Mountain, otherwise, you truly would have a connection with my Buddha. Chan Master Great Enlightenment chanted Amitabha. Could it be that because Zhishan is Maiden Mountain Star General that there is no connection? Chan Xian questioned. Maiden Mountain uses the star duels to sow calamity and chaos in Liangshan continent and thus is an evil way. How can my Buddha have a connection with such an evil way? Chan Master Great Enlightenment replied matter-of-factly. What sophistry, Wu Xiao retorted, about to act. Whatever Sea of Bitterness karma there was, the Harm Star basically did not care. Su Xing pulled her back. Lord Husband, Wu Xiao was confused. Su Xing's face was like frost. He raised his head and coldly asked Chan Master Great Enlightenment. Great Master said the star duels were an evil way, but that is a lie. Then poor monk asks you, are you evil? Are you righteous? Chan Master Great Enlightenment pointed at Su Xing. Su Xing sneered but did not answer. Evil always is evil, righteous always is righteous. Chan Master Great Enlightenment shallowly smiled. I don't think so. Su Xing teased. What perspective do you have? Su Xing pointed at Chan Master Great Enlightenment, also asking the same question, are you evil? Are you righteous? Chan Master Great Enlightenment was taken aback. Of course, we are righteous. The other Chan Masters proudly answered. Su Xing turned a deaf ear, only looking at Chan Master Great Enlightenment. Chan Master Great Enlightenment clearly was more intelligent than the others. Slowly, without saying anything, his expression was very focused. He looked at Su Xing, somewhat unable to fathom him. On the surface, Su Xing merely asked him the same question, but the inside logic nevertheless was full of great wisdom and knowledge. The so-called, for an evil person who speaks of the right way is also evil, for a righteous person who speaks of the evil way also becomes righteous. Right and wrong were merely separated by a thought. Evil? Righteous? If anything, this was a question of preference. Qingxi had not yet understood while Wu Xiao actually vaguely understood. Chan Xian was even more shocked, and she looked at Su Xing. While ferrying across the Sea of Bitterness, she felt Su Xing's identity was inconceivable. Now, this question that made a Buddhist Chan master unable to reply lifted great waves in Chan Xian's heart. Indefinitely vacillating, a long while after, Chan master Great Enlightenment sighed. As expected, benefactor has connection with my Buddha. Wisdom, poor monk is ashamed of his inferiority. Poor monk shall not obstruct benefactor any further. Chan master Great Enlightenment put his palms together, sincerely regretful. The other great masters were dumb as wooden chickens. Chan master Great Enlightenment, what is this? Do not forget, we are to prevent the holy monk's robe and bowl from falling into the Star General's hands. Great Master, how can you be confused by evil? Chan master Great Enlightenment heaved a deep sigh. Fellow monks, poor monk has been questioned by this benefactor. Poor monk knows there already is no more meaning in obstructing him. Poor monk thus shall leave. Buddha has a saying, it will do to not, but also it will not do to not. 6. Poor monk thus takes his leave. After speaking, he profoundly cupped his fist at Su Xing. That expression seemingly the attitude of a student towards his teacher, which made the other great masters stupefied. Immediately afterwards, Chan master Great Enlightenment left this place in the blink of an eye. After Su Xing put his hands together for Chan master Great Enlightenment, he was expressionless. He stared at the remaining 4 people. If great masters persist in the wrong way by treating us as evil people, the way of evil, then precisely it is your own heart that has already fallen into the way of evil. Your servant asks that great master quickly realize the truth and leave. Such a glib tongue, no wonder you dare to spit at Buddha. The great masters furiously said. Today, thou must cease wanting the holy monk's robe and bowl. Su Xing shook his head, very regretful. Great masters persist in the wrong ways, making your servant disappointed. Humph. The 4 supercluster ancestors scoffed, completely lacking fear. They honestly did not fear Su Xing would make a move. So long as Su Xing and the others made a move, they would pollute their karma, and their objective would count as fulfilled. Great masters must know, as far as great masters' current conduct is concerned, Buddha has a saying that just happens to be of benefit. Su Xing smiled. Out of the corner of his eye, he sized up the 4. Due to Chan master Great Enlightenment leaving, the 4 monks each stood at 4 corners to trap Su Xing, but the distance between each was considerably wide, which was an opportunity. It seems you understand much about my Buddha. Poor monk actually wishes to hear what great logic you can speak of. The tone of the Chan school's Chan master was very disdainful. Then you must listen carefully. Su Xing looked around. The monks did not dare be careless, but they were still very curious. Just at this moment, Su Xing pointed, and the Earth Book of Empress 2 suddenly flashed with yellow light, transforming into a beautiful immortal. This immortal immediately waved her long sleeve at the Chan masters. Hey! Su Xing suddenly appeared behind the Wisdom King's secret sect monk. The speed was faster than the blink of an eye. Courting death, the Chan school's great Chan master long had readied his defense. Regardless of whether Su Xing acted or not, his purpose would have been fulfilled. He turned around, both his palms attacking Su Xing's hand. The sound of thunder erupted, and Buddhist light filled the sky. Su Xing nevertheless did not act, merely flashing on by, avoiding the Chan school great master's sound of thunder sutra palm technique. Great master, careful. Just as the Pratoda school great master was about to pursue, he suddenly heard a fellow monk give out a terrifying scream. The Chan master felt odd, and abruptly, he felt goosebumps over his whole body. A kind of terrifying feeling seized him. The Chan master froze. He turned his head and saw a terrifying monster that could not be described with words. With an ape's head and tusks, centipede arms, fleshy wings, every sort of poisonous body filling its whole body, emitting a concentrated poison chi. What made the Chan master feel chills over his whole body was that powerful iciness transmitting from this monster's body that felt like some entity freezing his consciousness at such a close range. That black demon bared its fangs and spat out several rays of distorted poison light. The black, evil chi the demon emitted suddenly washed the Chan master's Buddhist light clean away. The Chan master promptly blocked. Shwa! A lightning-like black snake popped out from the demon's mouth, running through the Chan master's stomach. 7. What is this thing? The Chan master was shocked, his internal organs entirely torn. Su Xing sneered. Buddha says, can't say. The Chan school great master screamed, basically not having foreseen Su Xing would release this sort of monster. Completely lacking any preparations, he had been run clean through by the poison light. He felt cold all over his body. Immediately, he gave rise to the idea of fleeing, but that monster's twisting forearms grabbed hold of the Chan school great master. It opened its maw, and the Chan school great master seemed to have seen the world's most terrifying sight. His expression contorted as he screamed. From the monster poured out countless monstrous snakes and insects. Immediately, this supercluster stage great master was devoured with nothing left. Vomit. Su Xing somewhat wanted to vomit. This monster was none other than the 10,000-year Gu demon from that time, after he originally inadvertently obtained this 10,000-year Gu demon. Because this 10,000-year Gu demon had grown honestly too malevolently, Su Xing had always never thought of using it, but he had Suan refine some medicine for it to feed every day. But even so, this 10,000-year Gu demon had grown exceptionally large. If he did not know he could not act in this sea of bitterness without polluting his own karma, Su Xing would never have thought of taking out this 10,000-year Gu demon. After all, this was too damaging to his own status, for he resided on that name of Purple Thunder Monster. The 10,000-year Gu demon's mouth let loose a stinking stench as it was currently chewing on the Sarira of the Chan school's master. The faces of the remaining 3 Chan masters were full of fury. You absolutely will die today, monster. Don't think that you can do whatever you please just because you rely on Buddha. Su Xing snorted disdainfully. The 10,000-year Gu demon howled loudly. It seemed to have eaten considerably pleasurably, directing a radiant gaze at the other 3 ancestral masters that were even of the meditative mind. Su Xing surreptitiously sent a strike of divine intent into this rampant 10,000-year Gu demon. Knowing the identities of Wu Xiao and the others, this 10,000-year Gu demon became much more behaved. Su Xing, this is, Qingxi covered her mouth, somewhat pale in the face. Those monks have only themselves to blame, with no one else to point to. Wu Xiao was cold. The harm star looked meaningfully at Chan Xian, wishing to know what attitude this heavenly solitary star would have upon seeing Su Xing take out the 10,000-year Gu demon. After all, regardless of how it was put, Su Xing doing so was for the sake of helping them ferry across the sea of bitterness. What made Wu Xiao gratified was that the heavenly solitary star had clearly defined likes and dislikes, but her gaze on that unsightly 10,000-year Gu demon was considerably somewhat hateful. However, Wu Xiao could not blame her. Su Xing's beauties, other than the humane and compassionate efficacious star and Suan, all kept a respectable distance from this 10,000-year Gu demon. The other 3 supercluster cultivators immediately took action. Buddhist light and artifacts appeared again. The true spirit, Empress II, of the Earth Book waved her long sleeve, first using the earth magic, pure land flowing smoke, to block the cultivator's powers. Then, she immediately used more magic of the Earth Spirit Book. The 10,000-year Gu demon flapped its wings. Amidst the endless blackness of the sea of bitterness, the black 10,000-year Gu demon blended in perfectly. It wantonly sucked in the boundless sea of bitterness, and the poison light and poison bugs of its body were released unbridled. The remaining 3 were masters of their own great sects, after all. Their ancestor-level supercluster cultivation, magic weapon, and abilities also could not be underestimated. Although Empress II's defenses were unrivaled, it had been broken considerably by the teamwork of the 3 Chan masters. The 10,000-year Gu demon at this time unleashed an attack at the Wisdom King sect's Chan master. However, the Wisdom King Vajrayana's Chan master was not rushed. He raised his 9-ring Chan staff, and a rock Wisdom King truth body emerged. Its golden talons aimed at the 10,000-year Gu demon. The 10,000-year Gu demon's figure suddenly became big, its hide that was like steel attacked several times. The Wisdom King Vajrayana's great master saw that he had entangled the 10,000-year Gu demon. Again, he chanted an incantation aimed at Su Xing, itching to tear Su Xing's muscle and bone. The Buddhist chant gushed forth, and several rays of light attacked Su Xing. "You cannot make a move," Su Xing said strictly, as if he was issuing a command. "Poor monk shall see how long you can persist." The Wisdom King Vajrayana Great Master sneered. Su Xing's group that had been restricted from acting in the middle of the Sea of Bitterness gave them an extremely big chance. The Chan Master's eyes burst with malice, unleashing the magic energy in his whole body. Su Xing could not act so as to avoid polluting his karma of no killing and could only rely on body techniques to dodge. The Buddhist aura fired, chasing Su Xing without pause. In the case he was struck, the consequences were too horrible to contemplate. Fortunately, Su Xing had the heart-like mirror and the Bagua escape technique. His awareness surpassed all others, and after many bouts of being locked onto by that Wisdom King Buddhist light, he simply relied on his own reactions that were beyond imagination to dodge. The more the great Wisdom King sect's Chan Master attacked, the more his heart was shocked at his opponent's methods. Su Xing dodged consecutively several times, somewhat annoyed. Roar. Suddenly, there was a roar in the sky. The Chan Master was taken aback. Suddenly he saw the golden-winged rock his own great Wisdom King 9-ring Chan staff created had been suppressed by the 10,000-year Gu demon. The 10,000-year Gu demon's whole body emitted poison light in great quantities, like a pitch-black pool. Not only this, but it also sucked in a measureless amount of the Sea of Bitterness, making the 10,000-year Gu demon appear even more violent. The martial arts of its four monstrous arms grabbed onto the golden-winged rock and then twisted. "This is bad." The Chan Master vomited blood. Upon seeing his life-cast magic weapon about to break, his face lost color in surprise. He promptly struck several Buddhist hand seals, continuously forming them. The golden-winged rock was in its final death throes, its light returning to itself. Its talons grabbed hold and unexpectedly ripped apart one of the 10,000-year Gu demon's arms. The 10,000-year Gu demon opened its fangs, biting into the rock's neck. The two frightening monsters struggled about in the sky. The Wisdom King sect Chan Master vomited blood, and the golden-winged rock finally disintegrated. The 9-ring Chan staff had been turned into black powder by the 10,000-year Gu demon. The life-cast magic weapon had received damage, which made the Wisdom King sect Chan Master suffer harm as well. In the next instant, he fell into the boundless Sea of Bitterness, his fate unknown. The 10,000-year Gu demon roared and stared at the remaining two Chan Masters. The two remaining Chan Masters were no more than supercluster early stage, already with the mind to run when Su Xing took out the true spirit magic treasure, Empress Tuesday. Who were they kidding? What, monks have lives? What, irreconcilable enemies? As far as they were concerned, those were fleeting as clouds in the sky. Their own lives were most important. On the contrary, having lost a senior monk, this was not a bad thing for competition among their sects in the Buddha kingdom. At this time, they saw the Chan Master of the Wisdom King sect fall in defeat. The two no longer hesitated. They raised a Buddhist light and fled, very quickly escaping the Sea of Bitterness. 5 great supercluster ancestors had surrounded Su Xing's group and had broken apart before even acting. Perhaps no one would have believed it. The 10,000-year Gu demon that seldom emerged was very satisfied. Patting its stomach, in spite of its severed arm, it swaggered back towards its master. Su Xing waved a hand, making it enter an astral stone. Then, he put away the Earth Book of Empress Tuesday, making the Earth Book manifest the true spirit. Empress too also squandered much star energy. "Whatever you want to say it." Su Xing bitterly smiled. Qingxi slightly smiled and shook her head. It seemed she had already recovered. This was decreed by fate. Chan Xian took in a deep breath. Her gaze stared at the faraway other shore. Not saying anything more, she still swiftly flew towards the other shore. At this time, Chan Xian's whole body suddenly stiffened. Her eyes widened, her whole body shivering. Wu Xiao and Qingxi immediately had similar symptoms, and at this time, a vast pain swelled up through their internal organs. Their whole bodies seemed to be on fire, the searing pain unbearable. The eighth distress of the Sea of Bitterness, the five skandhas were actually powerful, as if their five senses had been deprived. The boundless world faded from view, and their surroundings were full of a frightening darkness. Su Xing immediately activated the Absolute Sincerity Soul technique. All of a sudden, he abruptly heard a furious shout, like a warbling. Opening his eyes to look, he turned pale with fright. Breaching the Sea of Bitterness, a monk rushed out. His kasaya was torn to pieces, battered and exhausted, his claws like an eagle's, like a falcon's. This was the Chan master of the Wisdom King's secret sect. Dai, Lu Jishin, ha, 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 ha. At this time, currently in the middle of the eighth distress, Chan Xian completely was unable to move in time. Regardless at this time whether Chan Xian attacked or defended, so long as she acted with him, she would lose her qualifications. Chan Xian's expression was also very ice-cold. With everything hanging by a thread, in the next instant, Su Xing's figure was like a chilly wind. Without any hesitation, he suddenly erupted, fiercely dashing forth, completely ignoring that sky and earth-ripping chi field and attack of the Wisdom King's secret sect Chan master. Su Xing's superb awareness flashed, and he stepped across several zhang of space, arriving beside the Wisdom King's sect Chan master. Without saying anything, a sword directly slashed diagonally. A power more bone-chilling than at any other moment came from the sword. At this sort of critical juncture, how could Su Xing hold back in the slightest? Reacting instantly, he released his own strength, making a simple slash with his sword, yet it was not at all like previous times. His movement was fast to the point there simply was no shadow to see. Following heaven-tearing slash, the air suddenly made a soft noise, as if something had been torn open. A distinct black line immediately emerged along his leg, carving a complete track. The Chan master's complexion greatly changed. Basically unable to react in time, the Chan master raised his hands in a fluster to defend himself. His arms were like shield, releasing Buddhist light. The golden ripples immediately were like a surging tide, a clearly visible tip suddenly appearing before everyone's eyes. Lord Husband. Lord Su. Wu Xiao and Qingxi cried out at the same time. The former was brimming with worry, the latter feeling shocked. Great Rock Wisdom King /2, the Wisdom King Chan master attacked with all his strength, slamming into the black strangeness that Su Xing's sword brought with it. Ka-cha! A crisp breaking sound once again rang. There was basically no violent reaction like they had imagined. Su Xing's slash seemingly was plain but was in fact matchlessly valiant. The so-called Great Rock Wisdom King basically was unable to support Su Xing's attack. The opponent's light red Buddhist light defense broke easily as a chicken egg. The pitch-black trail was lightning in the darkness, flashing by. The pair's surrounding gale suddenly intensified. The whirlwind blew hard, staggering the Chan master back. But the Wisdom King sect Chan master already was nearly fanatical. His arms spread, like a rock extending its wings. His escape technique was swift to the limit. A chilly light flashed across his eyes. Su Xing's face was an incomparable coldness. This is what you brought upon yourself. His body stopped in midair, his steps freely flashing by, a gale rising everywhere, without any fancy or superfluous movements. Su Xing directly spread his arms. The 12 life-cast flying swords heaven-tearing flew out. These flying swords had gone through Tang Lianxin's nurturing and were stronger and sharper than ever. The 12 flying swords were like golden dragons, ripping apart the boundless sea of bitterness, transforming into pure killing intent that swirled around the Chan master and attacked. Suddenly, like a suspended galaxy, they attacked. Impossible, the Chan master was shocked. You cannot act. Chan Xian also was moved, hastily acting to rush in front of Su Xing. But heaven-tearing was even faster. Dazzling golden light blossomed, carving a beautiful arc in the air around the Chan master, brushing past this man's neck. His huge head followed the light, rolling in the air. The three women were dumb as wooden chickens. Far away, at the other shore, the yellow-browed boy opened his eyes, faintly saying, "A man has lost the qualifications to see the holy monk." Benefactor Su Xing, what are you doing? Even the heavenly solitary star Chan Xian, whose heart was like stone, when she saw Su Xing had acted for her sake to pollute his karma by breaking the vow of no killing, destroying all the effort he had put in until now, could not help but be moved. Just how much of an urge was there to be able to renounce the very thing he was pursuing just for an indifferent person? Wu Xiao and Qingxi rushed to Su Xing's side. Although they said nothing, each of them showed moved expression. Qingxi's gaze glittered. Watching Chan Xian's touched expression, her brows tightly locked. This man is very crafty, unexpectedly using this sort of method to move the heavenly solitary star. The sisters inside Qingxi's star nest gnashed their teeth, believing Su Xing had deliberately done so. Qingxi's eyes were deeply conflicted. She lowered her head, not uttering a word. "Lord husband." Wu Xiao was very worried and sick at heart. "What's the matter?" Su Xing saw the girl's hurt expressions as comical. "Why would you save Chan Xian? Could it be that you came for my sake?" Chan Xian questioned. As the eternal primary school student once said, killing a person perhaps requires a reason, but saving a person doesn't need a reason. Su Xing shrugged his shoulders. The girls did not know what this eternal primary schooler was, but hearing Su Xing's downplaying words, they still felt moved. In following, don't be so pessimistic, all right? The mystery of the Sea of Bitterness isn't necessarily this. Su Xing patted Chan Xian's shoulder, consoling her. The person that should have been consoled was contrarily consoling her. Chan Xian's mind was somewhat confused. This man apparently was overturning her mind all the time. And, perhaps it is indeed as Lord Su says. Qingxi slowly spoke. These monks made the first move. We cannot be blamed. Chan Xian was expressionless, her gaze towards Su Xing somewhat indifferent. The other shore of the Sea of Bitterness. When the monks saw Su Xing and the others approach, their gazes were shocked and furious. However, these gazes only existed for a fleeting instant. They then recovered their steadfast expressions. Everyone who has come, follow novice monk into the seventh celestial. The yellow-browed boy put his hands together. Thank you for your troubles. Chan Xian seemed to be somewhat preoccupied. However, this benefactor was incapable of laying down the butcher's knife. He has not crossed the Sea of Bitterness and can only make himself comfortable here. The yellow-browed boy calmly set down an order of banishment. Everyone's gazes were completely glued to Su Xing. Benefactor was merely acting for the sake of saving your servant that he would pollute karma with killing intent. This consequence arose from me. Chan Xian ought to assume the responsibility. Chan Xian interrupted. Her resolve actually made the Aratha and others that had originally impatiently schemed for her departure quite surprised. Now, seeing that the holy monk was merely a step away and giving up like this honestly was incomprehensible. The yellow-browed boy looked indifferently at Chan Xian. How can you assume responsibility for the karma he polluted? This is cheating Buddha, and you also ought to lose your qualifications. What? Chan Xian froze. Aratha nearly laughed out loud. Truly, the heavens are helping me. Although the 5 great supercluster ancestral masters could not stop the heavenly solitary star, hearing the yellow-browed boy's words made his heart burst with joy. It could be assumed that this yellow-browed boy also was not pleased the heavenly solitary star had come for the robe and bowl. How can this be? Each of Wu Xiao's words were full of killing intent. Lord Husband staked everything and brought Chan Xian this chance with great difficulty. How could all of that be negated by a few words from the other party? What did everything before count for? Was this all a joke? A gentle hand made Wu Xiao's murderous air subside. The Su Xing with a face like still water advanced a step and smiled at the boy. May your servant venture to ask what this place is? The other shore. The yellow-browed boy answered. Since this is the other shore, why would you say your servant has not crossed the sea of bitterness? Su Xing ruminated, could it be the one cheating Buddha is not you? Since this is the other shore, then your servant crossed the sea of bitterness. This is Buddhism's great logic. You have inverted the world, truly irreverent. Shock. No one would have thought that Su Xing would actually face the gatekeeper of the sixth trial and say such things. The yellow-browed boy disdainfully laughed. In the middle of the sea of bitterness, all living things taste the 8 distresses of life. You rashly initiated killing in violation of Buddhism, thus you are incapable of breaking free from within the 8 distresses. The sea of bitterness naturally has not been crossed, thus this other shore is not benefactor's other shore. Incredible. Worthy of a boy serving holy monk 4 noble truths in the 7-floor stupa pagoda, speaking without leaking a drop of sweat. Seeing that Su Xing was apparently taken aback, the yellow-browed boy smiled, benefactor nevertheless is lucky. You ought to be reverent of Buddha. If this is not your servant's other shore, then how would the other shore's gate open? Su Xing suddenly pointed at the gate to the front, smiling. Ah! The yellow-browed boy and the others were stunned. Subconsciously turning their heads, indeed, the other shore's gates were still shut. There were no signs of opening. Just as the yellow-browed boy thought of mocking Su Xing for nonsense, suddenly, his brain had a sudden realization, saying in shock, not good. He heard Su Xing laugh. If this other shore is not your servant's other shore, then when your servant spoke of the other shore's gate, why would this novice monk believe your servant? 2. Everyone was stunned. Benefactor, you are cunning. Great Master Still Void put his hands together. Cunning, ha, 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 Great Master's way of speaking is truly interesting. If I am not on the other shore, then where is the Great Master? Su Xing sneered. This other shore is not benefactor's, enough of the slippery speech. Su Xing impatiently waved his hand, this novice monk hearing your servant's words just now clearly acknowledges this is your servant's other shore, otherwise, why would you turn your head to the other shore's gate upon hearing your servant's words? Great Master Still Void was speechless. This man was too cunning. Could it be you wish to negate what you said about crossing the sea of bitterness and there being no other shore? Su Xing seemingly smiled. The yellow-browed boy coldly said, you violated the vow of no killing in the sea of bitterness, however, I still crossed the sea of bitterness. Su Xing calmly answered. But you broke this pagoda's rules. Naturally, you cannot pass. Despite your extravagant embellishments, you nevertheless cannot hide that you broke the rules. The yellow-browed boys apparently found a gap for victory, steadily arguing. The sea of bitterness was contaminated with the karma of killing, breaking the rules. Is this what you determined? Su Xing asked back. The yellow-browed boy had an, I knew you would say that, expression, saying, as expected, you are a layman. The boundless sea of bitterness naturally gives all living things a taste of the 8 distresses of living. Breaking free of these 8 distresses, benefactor violates the vow of no killing and is thus unable to free himself of the word distress. What is distress? The distress of life, age, what is unfarid? Those unable to bear distress, those who have violated the vow of no killing, they are the unfarid. Then about unfarid, if the other shore is not beneath your servant's feet, what is there? The sea of bitterness appears to have been ferried, but you are actually unfarid. This other shore is not your other shore, the 2 asked and answered. Great Master Still Void vaguely felt things were far from encouraging. The yellow-browed boy already was being unwittingly led by the nose. Great Master immediately walked over, interrupting, poor monk feels nothing more should be said. This man has a glib tongue, reversing what is false. Directly banish him and be done. Well spoken, it seems this great master also has not ascended the other shore from the sea of bitterness. Su Xing had an expression of, I was waiting for you to say that. Which made everyone's stomachs feel fully suffocated. What does benefactor mean? Great Master Still Void's tone sunk. The 8 distresses of living, the distress of meeting what you hate. Just now, Great Master spoke of banishing your servant. Could it be because you aren't hateful of your servant that you would say banish? Great Master Still Void's face was cold as frost. Poor monk advises that benefactor not struggle at the very end, to be an annoying troublemaker. Poor monk disdains speaking with you. Struggle at the very end, be an annoying troublemaker. Obviously, it is the lot of you that are trapped in the 8 distresses, yet you speak of contaminating the karma of killing. To say your servant broke the rules, you cannot see the forest for the trees. The deranged are you all. You dare speak off the cuff. Aratha's tone was disdainful. Buddha says, what every sort of shape and form a person sees, hears, thinks, meets, feels, are all false images. You will lose yourself, sinking into suffering. The people are frequently confused by ideas, and therefore are deeply set among them. Could it be great masters have not sunk into the 5 skandhas? Su Xing was deadpan. The yellow-browed boy seemed to have seized onto a tear in Su Xing's argument, mocking, benefactor contaminated the karma of killing in the sea of bitterness and still dares to say our bodies are in the 5 skandhas. Truly laughable. Don't believe it. I indeed have a way to prove it. Su Xing laughed. Do not indulge him, Great Master Still Void promptly obstructed, sensing that Su Xing had lain some trap. Novice monk accepted the orders of the holy monk to oversee this other shore of the sea of bitterness. For novice monk's body to be trapped in the 5 skandhas is contrary to the thoughts of the holy monk. Novice monk actually wants to see how benefactor will prove it. However, if you are incapable of proving, then novice monk can only ask benefactor's friends to leave this place together, so as to avoid blaspheming Buddha. Don't be so quick to say blaspheming Buddha. I am inviting Buddha to prove it. Su Xing calmly said. The maidens inside the star nest did not dare breathe. What was Su Xing thinking of doing? The others were also quite curious. Inviting Buddha to prove it, could it be that this man had the capability to call forth Buddha Western Paradise? All confused lines of sight gazed at Su Xing. Su Xing then leisurely asked, your servant wonders which of you has an image of Buddha. Benefactor would not be happening to invite an image of Buddha to be Buddha, would he? Senior monk extreme happiness mocked. Just watch. However, this image of Buddha, how can your servant be able to carry it on his person? This blasphemes Buddha. Su Xing furrowed his brow. How about this gold Buddha? The yellow-clothed person spoke. Waving his hand, a golden Buddha statue appeared before them. Carved so very lifelike, the precious statue was solemn, as if Buddha had actually descended. It made their hearts feel like bowing in worship. The Buddhist Chan masters immediately put their hands together in salute. Many thanks. Su Xing glanced at this mysterious yellow-robed person. Could it be you are thinking of asking Buddha to climb onto you? The yellow-browed boy asked. Who could have anticipated that Su Xing would briefly inspect it, then suddenly raise his hand and envelop this golden Buddha in purple cloud true star? Instantly, this stately gold Buddha became a puddle of molten gold. How dare you blaspheme Buddha, to burn away a gold statue of Buddha, the yellow-browed boy rebuked. The other Chan masters were also suddenly indignant. Su Xing was neither hurried nor slow. He conscientiously inspected the thick molten gold. I am currently smelting the Buddha's sarira. The yellow-browed boy was even more angry. How can there be sarira inside a golden statue? Su Xing feigned a sudden epiphany and stood up. Since there is no sarira, then there is no harm in me burning a few images of Buddha. Ah! The yellow-browed boy was flabbergasted. Everyone present was a peak Chan master in the Buddha kingdom. Immediately, they understood the significance that Su Xing was raising. They were suddenly stunned beyond compare. The Diamond Sutra says, all phenomena and perceptions are illusions. When one sees through them, one sees Tathagata. 3. Su Xing slowly said. The Chan sect often emphasizes, Buddha nature is inherently empty, the intrinsic Buddha is devoid of marks, the so-called image of Buddha lies in guiding believers to go worship the essence and truth behind the idol. Speaking from a Buddhist logic, not only can you not treat the image of Buddha you see as seeing Buddha, even if you go see Buddha in person, you cannot recognize as having seen his corporeal body and think it the master. Otherwise, you will violate the mistake of attachment. Do you dare to say you were not confused by this false image just now, not being trapped in these 5 skandhas? Everyone drew in a breath. How could the Buddha Kingdom's 6 ancestors not have understood this logic? It was just that they had never thought of daring to burn Buddha. The yellow-browed boy tried to speak for a long time but could not say anything. Su Xing's words were invulnerable. How could the other Chan masters dare to retort even half a word? Amazing, amazing. Your Highness Buddhist mind has made your servant expand his horizons. The burning of this golden Buddha was worth it. The yellow-clothed person struck his palm. Su Xing hid his embarrassed expression. The yellow-browed boy had always felt the progression of things until now had been very fishy, but he could not figure out where. His words were stuck in his throat, and he was dumb as a wooden chicken. Su Xing, you're so awesome, to stun these monks. Now, they ought not have anything to say. This is sophistry. Great Master Still Void had cultivated Buddhism for countless years, and very quickly, he recovered and bellowed, "Little monk, you cannot believe him. He has obviously polluted the karma of killing in the sea of bitterness and broke the rules, yet he tore himself above the 8 distresses. Clearly, he has used a straw man argument, reversing karma." Su Xing sneered. No mistake, Su Xing's was indeed sophistry. The so-called sophistry was to lay down the next logic in a debate that made the other party follow and debate upon. By doing so, the other party would save little and lose much. The other party would undoubtedly lose the debate. However, Great Master Still Void sensed this too late. Because Su Xing's peerless sophistry that shocked the world had firmly constricted the yellow-browed boy. Straw man arguments were fine, as was reversing karma. The yellow-browed boy and the others really were puzzled by the idea of Su Xing burning Buddha. That was to say, everyone present honestly did not have the qualifications to say that had ferried across the sea of bitterness 8 distresses and ascended the other shore. Su Xing did not ascend the other shore, this point was not discredited. The corner of Wu Xiao's lips curled in a smile, very full of a desire to open and look into this man's mind, an impulse to see just what sort of things that were loaded inside, to unexpectedly be able to twist and warp the world under the rules the other party established. Honestly, this was inconceivable. Qingci and Chan Xian also were lost and confused by what Su Xing said. By the very end, Su Xing had already turned back to front, completely reversing karma. Only then did his counterparts return to their senses. Qingci only felt this man's thoughts honestly were very frightening. Lord Su honestly is more glib-tongued than those Buddhas. Qingci softly laughed. Chan Xian did not reply. The heavenly solitary star's always firm expression were placed on Su Xing arguing with those Chan masters and began to never leave. She followed Su Xing's eloquence, his contentions. Chan Xian only felt her heart pound powerfully. And when she saw Su Xing burn the gold Buddha to obtain Saraira, Chan Xian was even more stifled. This was the first time the heavenly solitary star felt her heart stir. There was a sort of urge to follow him for her whole life. Qingci shook her several times. Only then did Chan Xian return to her senses, whispering her thanks. She shut her eyes in contemplation, reciting Dharma, making her mind maintain calm. Qingci very helplessly sighed. The Buddha Kingdom's 6 ancestors still quarreled over the rules of the Sea of Bitterness. The great ancestral masters felt Su Xing was far scarier than the heavenly solitary star. How could they be willing to let him go see the saint? Just as they were utterly noisy, suddenly, a faintly discernible Buddhist sound came from the other shore. You are trapped in the avidya of the suffering of all things. The reason is that you are unable to see the true ultimate essence within and manifest your dormant spiritual nature. When you covet things, you are incapable of seeing clearly the desire rising within yourself the moment it does arise. When you are angry, you are incapable of seeing clearly the hate rising within yourself the moment it does arise. When you are sluggish, you are incapable of seeing clearly, seeing angry ignorance within yourself the moment it does arise. Therefore, desire, anger, and stupidity still control you within deep avidya. You actually are not at all masters of your own hearts. You have been spurred about by your untamed hearts. This is it. What is terrible is that you cannot even see that you yourself have been spurred about by this matter. To still think you want it as much. Actually, this is not true. That greed nevertheless is your untamed heart inciting you to endless chatter. That anger is your untamed heart instigating you to struggle slanderously. That stupidity is your untamed heart playing jokes on you. This voice was clean as nature, going non-stop through their hearts. Instantly, everyone seemed to have come to a realization, ending their bickering. Holy monk, 4 noble truths. The Chan masters saluted. Little boy, you have yet to be able to comprehend the great way. Return to the pagoda's interior and meditate. As holy monk orders. The yellow-browed boy saluted, and his figure immediately vanished like smoke. The gate of the other shore slowly opened, without a word said. Not needing to say anything more, Great Master Still Void understood that Holy Monk 4 Noble Truths had already recognized that Su Xing had the qualifications to enter. After saluting, the group walked in. After a boundless white light passed through their eyes, they saw an ordinary room of a monastery. An old man like stone sat in meditation. His face was calm as a dry well, exuding solemnity. Everyone felt deep veneration. He was precisely Holy Monk 4 Noble Truths, Buddha West Approaches. Buddhism has a famous proposition called, luminous mind, adventitious afflictions, indicated that the way to breaking free was in removing the contamination of adventitious afflictions, clearly showing one's inherent tranquil nature. But in this world of battle everywhere in Liangshan, to not pollute the vulgar world's karma was an extremely difficult thing. Even Buddha Kingdom's 6 ancestors used cultivation to distinguish their rankings. Cheating and deceiving one another, they were more or less the same as other cultivators. In Su Xing's perception, the Buddha Kingdom's 6 ancestors were all like this. That legendary holy monk 4 Noble Truths probably was as tyrannical as Emperor Liang. However, upon first seeing this Buddha West Approaches, he had a spontaneous feeling of reverence, not at all with the reverence of confronting Emperor Liang's unparalleled in the word tyrannical chi, rather, a sort of genuine deference. So it turned out the people of this world actually could have someone capable of achieving such specklessness, such refinement. In the world of the future, when the paths of the sutras are destroyed and ended, with loving kindness, compassion and empathy, will specially retain this sutra, to dwell for 100 years. If there are such beings, who encounter this sutra, they can, as they wish, according to their aspirations, all attain deliverance. Tathagatas arising in the world are difficult to meet and difficult to see. All Buddha's paths of sutras, are difficult to attain and difficult to hear. Meeting good knowing friends, to hear the Dharma, to be able to practice it, this is also a difficulty. If having heard this sutra, with joyful faith receiving and upholding it, this is the difficulty within difficulties, with none surpassing this difficulty. 2. Holy Monk 4 Noble Truths slowly spoke. Instantly, an auspicious light glowed. The ground bubbled forth with golden lotuses, a strange scent assailing them. The originally unadorned room gave birth to golden lotus flowers everywhere. The holy monk's body seemed to open a treasure tree of Buddhism, illuminating in all directions. That was the legendary meditative mind lotus flower. 3. Golden lotus platforms immediately rose from the ground. Upon seeing this, the group reverently and respectfully sat upon them. We wish to hear the holy monk's Chan technique. Great Master Still Void, Aratha, and the others stowed their malice, devoutly speaking. Buddha West Approaches nevertheless did not immediately speak. Rather, he faintly said, among the ladies and gentlemen, it seems one has not ceased being unforgiving. Holy monk, why say this? Great Master Still Void was astonished. The Azure Dragon Territory Cultivator and Star General naturally are unforgiving. Senior Monk Extreme Happiness could not help but look at Su Xing and the others. Sadhu, sadhu. Since everyone can pass through the 7-floor stupa pagoda's trials, then you are people with connection to my Buddha. At the top of the 7-floor stupa pagoda, there is a colored glass Buddhist lantern. Those who wish to listen to poor monks speak of Chan technique can stay behind and listen. Those who wish to understand the mind and see the nature, to shed contamination, may scale the pagoda's apex. Once holy monk Four Noble Truths finished speaking, in the void, the lotus flower pagoda became a flower-lined corridor reaching the highest level of the 7-floor stupa pagoda. 5 Dragons Colored Glass Lamp. When Su Xing heard these words, his thoughts moved. Wu Xiao's eyes hinted to Su Xing listening to the holy monk's speech to bloom the meditative mind lotus flower clearly somewhat needed to rely on a component of innate skill. Even if he had a glib tongue, a deluge of heavenly flowers, throughout the trials of the 7-floor stupa pagoda, but he was very self-aware. He knew that he basically had no talent in cultivating Buddhism. The 5 Dragons Colored Glass Lamp that Chao Gai spoke of was Su Xing's best choice. Hearing that the 5 Dragons Colored Glass Lamp was at the top of the pagoda, the other ancestral masters began to stir, yet none dared to be the first to make a noise. Great Master, your servant shall be bold. Su Xing rose, put his hands together, not hesitating. Buddha West approaches faintly smiled. Wu Xiao immediately rose. The two of them glanced at Chan Xian and Qingxi. The latter did not seem to move at this 5 Dragons Colored Glass Lamp. After hinting, Su Xing and Wu Xiao ascended the lotus staircase together, disappearing into the top of the pagoda. The Great Master still void looked at each other in dismay, their expressions sullen. Poor monk shall speak here. Buddha West approaches faintly smiled. Immediately, Brahmanistic sounds filled the world, and a treasure light filled the void. At the 7-floor stupa pagoda's top stood a statue of Buddha. Suspended above it was a colored glass lamp. That lamp used a shala treasure tree struck by lightning as its lantern case. 5 fire dragon souls coiled around it, surrounding a faint, silver-colored glass flame. Su Xing flew up to inspect it carefully, discovering this 5 dragons colored glass lamp simply was incapable of refinement. However, when Su Xing drew close, the 5 dragons colored glass lamp immediately released endless light enveloping the entire top of the pagoda within. It seems I can only use the 5 dragons colored glass lamp right here. Su Xing had no choice. Your servant shall stand guard for Lord Husband. Wu Xiao felt things were grave, manifesting the destined star weapon Noble Frost Demonic Lotus, standing strict vigil. Su Xing no longer hesitated. Seizing the time that the treasure flame was radiating light, he immediately sat in meditation beneath the lamp, reciting Chan Dharma. The 5 dragons colored glass lamp's 5 fire dragons wriggled about on the lamp, as if they had come to life. The mouths of the 5 dragons spat treasure flame, and the 5 dragons' treasure flame burned on Su Xing's body, immersing his whole body in the blink of an eye. The 7-floor stupa pagoda's top suddenly released a glaring golden Buddhist light. This Buddhist light spread across the blue sky. The entire central celestial was bathed in the Buddhist light. The millions of Buddhist residents that focused on the 7 floors stupa pagoda up until now suddenly prostrated in worship, reciting Dharma, incomparably pious. Wu Xinjie and Lin Yingmei raised their heads. Ah, it seems young lord has successfully reached the 7th floor of the pagoda. Wu Xinjie let out a sigh of exclamation. The 7-floor stupa pagoda seemingly manifested 5 divine coiling dragons, spraying silver flames. In the Buddha kingdom bursting open with bliss, they drew a perfect scene. Buddhism's legendary secret treasure, the 5 dragons colored glass lamp had a fully justified reputation, as expected. Even if they were separated by a great distance, they felt a sort of Buddhist saint's mighty baptism. It seemed what Chao Gai said was correct. This 5 dragons colored glass lamp indeed could blossom the meditative mind lotus flower, but they did not know just what Chao Gai's third calamity was. Thinking of this, Wu Xinjie again was inwardly anxious. Look out! Lin Yingmei abruptly shouted, her hands rising and falling. Several scarlet ropes like spirit snakes rolled, firmly binding Lin Yingmei's arms and legs. Lin Yingmei exerted star energy to break free, but the ropes coiled even tighter. Don't waste your strength. This courtyard's rope of intimacy tightens the more you struggle. 5. You had best obediently be captured. A dozen monks and a dozen beautiful women walked out in succession from the four corners. They had been snooping for a long time, and each of them gazed at Lin Yingmei's slender body, showing sinister smiles. She honestly is a beauty. To serve one man really is too wasteful. The Happiness Together courtyard honestly departs from the orthodoxy. Even when the 7-floor stupa pagoda's 5 dragons are releasing such bright light, you have not even a shred of piety. Wu Xinjie smiled. Having offended the Happiness Together courtyard, how can we allow you to be savage? Senior monk has orders. Today, we will take you to be cauldrons. The dozen monks grabbed the rope of intimacy, complacently speaking. Do these little sisters also think so? Wu Xinjie asked those female cultivators of the Happiness Together courtyard. You had best obediently listen to senior monk's words. Your man is surrounded by misfortune in the stupa pagoda. The female cultivators shouted. For the Happiness Together courtyard to think of disappearing like smoke from here in the Buddha kingdom, you are too impatient. However, that is not such a bad thing either. Yingmei. Hua Shui emerged, jumping onto Wu Xinjie's shoulder. Wanton. The Happiness Together courtyard's dozen monks shouted, each pulling the rope, attempting to pull Lin Yingmei over. The majestic star disdainfully snorted. Suddenly, she put strength into her arms, and like 1,000 caddies, the dozen monks only felt a power like that of a raging ride rush over. Their bodies uncontrollably were pulled back towards her. This is bad. A supercluster stage great monk's expression changed. But it really was too early to say such a fact. With Arctic Star Serpent spear in hand, Lin Yingmei's hand clenched the spear. Her figure swayed, and like a hurricane of snow, spear light cold as shadows flew out. Lin Yingmei's afterimages instantly returned to their original location. The majestic star stood tall and proud, her gaze absolutely cold, emitting a stifling heroic aura. Ah, how can she be a star general? The supercluster ancestor of the Happiness Together courtyard did not dare believe it. Humph. Lin Yingmei coldly snorted. Majestic star Lin Chong, the supercluster ancestor left behind his final words. Happiness Together courtyard, completely annihilated. Monks just ought to keep reading their sutras. What are you doing thinking of fighting? Wu Xinjie shook her head, sympathetic. Marvelous, marvelous, as expected of majestic star panther head Lin Chong, for one spear to dispatch everything without an issue. Suddenly, at this moment, praise resounded from this icy air that had yet to disperse. The frost scattered, and out walked a man and woman. Schwanger, we have now encountered our opponents. The man laughed. The woman's lips curled into a smile. She was a 5-tiger general. Prestige Star Double Clubs Huyen Shuang. Prestige Star Double Clubs Huyen Zhua. Lin Chong, what wind blew you to the Buddha kingdom? Your servant hears you signed a contract with the Purple Thunder Monster, truly disgraceful. The previous majestic star did not sign a contract. How have you changed? Huyen Shuang's hand held the wind and moon unmatched, half smiling as she stared at Lin Yingmei. Are you finished speaking your nonsense? Lin Yingmei's voice was already scornful and a little bored. That is the Purple Thunder Monster. Odd, why does your servant feel she is actually like us sisters? Huyen Shuang leisurely asked as she looked at Wu Xinjie. An ice-cold storm suddenly revolted. The Arctic Star Serpent spear drew a stunning straight line, tearing apart space, emitting a ray of light, directly attacking the Prestige Star. Huyen Shuang was already prepared, easily stepping backwards, holding her double clubs in front of her. Lin Chong, you honestly are impulsive? Bang! The spear and clubs crossed, knocking out sparks. When they separated, without any delay, Huyen Shuang's double clubs swept, her murderous air seemingly substantial, striking upon the Arctic Star's serpent spear. Lin Yingmei raised her hand, neither too quick nor too slow, her spear tip slashing the air to raise an incorporeal barrier. The powerful force of the crossing weapons directly shook each of them back. "Schwanger, do you need me to act?" Xie Chang'an called out a flying sword, asking as he stood guard against Wu Xinjie. "No need to trouble your highness. To face Lin Chong, your servant is sufficient." Lin Yingmei disdained this as beneath herself, lowering her spear. "Watch this," Huyen Shuang smiled. When she stopped, she suddenly pounced, immediately sending dust flying. The two clubs acted with a storm-like aggression. Lin Yingmei clenched her spear, dashing, her figure disappearing along the way from her original location. Then, a spear's light flashed in the air. The two destined star weapons had already slammed into one another. The double club's first wave of quick and violent attacks was calmly blocked by Lin Yingmei. Not only did she block this attack, Lin Yingmei suddenly smiled contrarily. Her star energy abruptly swelled, launching a swift, calm, yet violent counterattack that surged like a tide. Hu Yanzhuo also was a Star General 5 Tiger. Her double clubs easily received the attack, and the two clubs like a shield drew the circle of the Taiji. The two clubs flashed an even more glaring light. The wind lifted was just like blades that extended from the spear, and the surrounding air suddenly turned cold. Yellow rank technique? Huyen Shuang's brows rose. She took a step from where she was, somersaulted into a flying slash, and at the same time, the star crest on her forehead shimmered. Her silhouette became layers of afterimages. Lin Yingmei and spear advanced, her icy snow flourishing since some unknown time. What was that illusory scene? Snow White and a delicate figure immediately slammed into each other. The speed already radiated dazzling rays, tyrannical to the extreme that though Xie Chang'an wished to intercede, he was in a powerless state. This was a battle among Maiden Mountain's 5 tigers. Cold snow fluttered about. Each snowflake was sharper than a sword, and the surrounding 100 meters were enveloped in ice and snow. Ice sealed things into statues, and within this hurricane of snow. The two whips danced within the snowstorm, sprinkling killing intent, like interweaving flower petals and snowflakes. After they converges, they gave rise to battle in the end. The majestic star's yellow rank technique. Long blizzard nights. The prestige star's yellow rank, wind flower leaf fall, snow moon without scar, the ranked 8th prestige star double clubs Huyanzhuo, ha. Ha, ha, worthy of a Maiden Mountain 5 Tiger General. Wu Xinjie released star energy for protection, so as to avoid being too late. She observed the battle between the two great generals. They both were Maiden Mountain's mighty 5 Tiger Generals, a 50-50 chance between them. However, Lin Yingmei clearly had the greater advantage. This much was obvious. Su Xing's star energy advanced by leaps and bounds, breaking through to galaxy late stage. Although he had contracted too many star maidens and had spread his star energy thin, this was not too shabby. After all, star energy was the superior aspect of a star general's attack power. The genuine demonstration of usefulness was still in pure martial arts. As far as this was concerned, Lin Yingmei never slacked off. Let alone that she sparred with martial generals the likes of Wu Xiao and Yan Yizhen, her martial arts were even more refined. To say anything was weaker, perhaps that would be a star master. If Huyen Shuang's star master once again used resonance, the prestige star would hold the better advantage. This was the thorny part that Wu Xinjie currently contemplated. Master, danger. Hua Shui suddenly sensed danger, and Wu Xinjie kicked, nimbly jumping, disappearing from where she was. When she reappeared, she was already on a tall building. Where she left, several dozen flying swords had plunged. While the star generals are battling, star masters that are not focused will starfall. Xie Chang'an waved his hand, and the 50 resplendent flying swords wound around behind his body. He. Xinjie has an even better proposition. Would it not be better to finish watching the little sister fight to decide the victor? Wu Xinjie was not in the least concerned. Hua Shui arched its back and was already baring its fangs. This highness is not so patient. Xie Chang'an could tell that Lin Chong was not easy to face, and he did not wish to tarry. Suddenly, he threw out a talisman. When this talisman appeared, a multicolored golden light appeared above Wu Xinjie. The 50 flying swords promptly advanced and combined with the golden lines. A mysterious formation simultaneously appeared beneath Wu Xinjie's feet. Sword array. Wu Xinjie was stunned. Let us see how you will break this highness, heavenly dragon sword array. Xie Chang'an smiled. Suddenly, multicolored light swept out. The 5 dragons' colored glass lamps' bright light glowed. Su Xing's figure rapidly immersed inside the radiance. He was completely indistinguishable, for the pagoda's light was increasingly glaring. Wu Xiao stood outside the light, her expression extremely grim. In that endless amount of light, she could faintly see 5 colored glass treasure dragons currently shuttle around. From time to time, they let out quaking roars. She did not know at this time what Su Xing's situation was. Just as she thought this, odd activity came from the entrance. Wu Xiao immediately stowed her worries. She turned and stared coldly at the newcomers. Laughable Star General, you unexpectedly think to steal the holy object of my Buddha kingdom. Truly, you overestimate yourself. A coarse laugh brought a sort of extremely contemptuous attitude. 3 silhouettes entered this pagoda top one after the other. They were the Empty Mountain Secret Kshetra's Great Master Still Void, the Dharma Sex Aratha, and the Happiness Together Courtyard's Senior Monk Extreme Happiness. To miss the holy monk's mercy, benefactors must not become angry. Quickly go back. Great Master Still Void still had a hypocritical expression urging benevolence. To persist obstinately in the wrong ways, even if you are a star general, this senior monk will take you to be a cauldron. Senior Monk Extreme Happiness also let out wild words. He actually indeed had a reason to be arrogant. With 3 supervoid stage cultivators present, 1 star general was no more than a fish on the chopping board, waiting to be slaughtered. Even the renowned Harm Star Pilgrim Wusong was merely so. Harm Star Pilgrim, you also are one who believes in Buddha. It would be better for you to partake in comprehension of the happiness great way with this senior monk, to reach the top together. Senior Monk Extreme Happiness suddenly showed a licentious smile. Wu Xiao's beauty was stunning, and he wanted to take the time to take a cheap shot with words. Suddenly at this moment, Great Master Still Void and Aratha promptly shouted, "Look out!" A bone-chilling coldness swept across his stomach. Senior Monk Extreme Happiness was frightened as he used a Buddhist power to block. Courting death, he berated, moving about laterally, but his speed really was too slow. Wu Xiao was suddenly in front of him. Her double-headed sword immediately formed a net, tightly binding the ice-cold sword tip. Her bursting killing intent was like an open floodgate. Senior Monk Extreme Happiness Chan light was completely broken under this sort of murderous aura. The posture of Wu Xiao's figure changed. Her leaning posture was like an arrow loosed from its bow, the noble frost demonic lotus sword's tips intersected and bit, their target the enemy's neck. Senior Monk Extreme Happiness was terrified to the extreme, unable to even make any reactions. He could only instinctively grab hold of a magic weapon to use, but Senior Monk Extreme Happiness basically was too late to stop Wu Xiao's lightning-quick attack. Neither was he in time to adjust his center of gravity, to avoid the sword tip. The icy cold edge passed by his throat, splitting apart. The unbridled Senior Monk Extreme Happiness only felt an ice-cold feeling pierce through his throat, carrying a shudder through his whole body. Then, his whole body stiffened. Wu Xiao gracefully flipped behind him. Blood splattered. Noble Frost Demonic Lotus sucked greedily at the sweetness of the Supervoid Cultivator's blood. Senior Monk Extreme Happiness clutched at his throat, turning his head in disbelief. Wu Xiao flung the Noble Frost Demonic Lotus. Blood trails flowed everywhere from Senior Monk Extreme Happiness' open throat, like 2 psychic spirit snakes swimming over his whole body. A bloody vapor rushed out from his pores, and Senior Monk Extreme Happiness fell over paralyzed into a pool of blood, all of his arrogance and anger turning to dust. Dark Rank Technique. Blood-splashing Mandarin Duck. Senior Monk Extreme Happiness had earlier suffered the hidden loss of his life-cast magic weapon. Facing the Harm Star in close quarters, her Dark Rank Technique, without the protection of a powerful magic weapon, how could he have defended? Besides, Wu Xiao clearly wanted to get rid of him first when he least expected it. The star energy from her sword did not hold back at all. She cut down Senior Monk Extreme Happiness in the time it took to take a snapshot. Great Master Still Void and Aretha were shaken, not having expected the Harm Star would act completely without restraint. She truly was a fiend star, not just in name but also in reality. This is the doom you have brought upon yourself. Aretha furiously roared. He displayed the Vajra Dharma characteristics. His originally fierce body immediately was even more mighty. He lifted his arms and directly grabbed at Wu Xiao. Great Master Still Void also no longer feigned sincerity. He took up and struck a Spirit Mountain Miraculous Dharma Chan staff. Brahmanistic script flew out of the Chan staff, becoming a golden scroll. Promptly using the Dark Rank Technique had made Wu Xiao suffer injury that was not insignificant. However, there was not other way. Confronting 3 Super Void cultivators, Wu Xiao knew that she had no choice but to defeat each one individually. In the case that they cooperated, she definitely was not a foe. For this reason, she did not regret the price of first cutting down the weakest Senior Monk Extreme Happiness. If she used blood-splashing Mandarin Duck to face the other 2, she would not necessarily be successful. Bang, bang. Noble Frost Demonic Lotus cut upon Aratha's body that was like steel. The 3-star destined weapon was incapable of penetrating. Aretha seized the chance to punch. Wu Xiao nimbly dodged, when the Spirit Mountain Miraculous Dharma at this moment followed immediately after. It struck the Harm Star's body, nearly causing her to faint. A bolt of golden light descended. Wu Xiao raised her hand, blocking the Chan staff with the Noble Frost Demonic Lotus. Mark of Emptiness Elucidation, 2, Great Master Still Void shouted. The Super Void middle stage cultivator's star energy was extremely powerful. Wu Xiao barely blocked using the Noble Frost Demonic Lotus. Aratha's Vajra subduing demonic fist already punched Wu Xiao's body. Even if she had star energy protection, this made the Harm Star feel internal injuries. Great Master, leave her to poor monk. Great Master ought to first kill that man, so as to avoid him stealing away the 5 dragons colored glass lamp. Aretha spread his arms, directly pouncing on Wu Xiao. Fine. Great Master Still Void no longer delayed, maneuvering away. Do not think of harming Lord Husband. Wu Xiao rebuked. Her expression slightly changed. Su Xing currently was meditating under the lamp's light. If he was disturbed, then everything would be for naught. Wu Song, where are you going? Aretha blocked her front like Mount Tai. The counterpart's cultivation and powers were too high, and Wu Xiao for the time being was incapable of breaking free. Just as Great Master Still Void about to enter the endless light, suddenly at this moment, a green light hissed over. Great Master Still Void clenched the Chan staff and broke the star magic. Great Master Still Void's expression changed. He suddenly stepped back, suspended in the air. As it turned out, a chilly figure had smashed through the floorboards he had been standing on. How is this possible? Great Master Still Void's pupils shrunk, for he was overwhelmed beyond compare. A delicate figure walked slowly out from the endless light. Slave servant asks that the Great Master not disturb Master. Slave servant asks that the Great Master not disturb Master. The one whose fist smashed through the void was an apathetic maid. Her fists were yin and yang, cold and warmth mutually reflecting. Suddenly at the same time, a girl of 7 or 8 years of age stepped on air. She wore a multicolored cloud cape, grasping a sword of multicolored light, her manner exceedingly refined, as if she could be compared to Holy Monk Four Noble Truths. Another two girls in blue and gold palace dresses appeared in the back and front, each absolutely gorgeous. All of the girls had a similar characteristic, that their foreheads flickered with star crests. Their identities did not need explaining. Star generals, no, 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 this is impossible. Great Master Still Void was overwhelmed. This was more exaggerated than seeing the actual Buddha. Although he was very perplexed by the star duels, he nevertheless knew the mighty fame of the Star General. Seeing the 4 star generals that walked out of the light, Great Master Still Void thought he was seeing things, stirring his empty eyes. Bang! An enormous noise. A starry silhouette landed by Yenizhen. Elder Sister Sio. And Suan saw that Wu Sio was injured because she had used her dark rank and wasted a lot of spiritual power. She immediately used spiritual aura distribution. Aretha descended. The man's face was malevolent, his fangs protruding. What is the meaning of this? How can there be another 5-star generals? Aretha similarly felt shaken. How could Great Master Still Void have known? You said, Master, just now. Could it be that that man is your Star Master? Great Master Still Void asked in shock. Big Brother only wishes to blossom this meditative mind lotus flower, we ask that Great Masters be lenient. And Suan gently said. An inhale. Great Master Still Void had never felt this astonished. What a joke. How can one man have so many star generals? Poor monk does not care who you are, obstructing him today will kill the meditative mind lotus flower. Humph, what qualifications does a star master have? Aretha furiously bellowed, instantly pouncing. Suan, there is no need to waste your breath on these hypocritical great masters. Wu Sio coldly said. Seeing this pagoda top already was incapable of sealing the star nest, the harm star called forth the white and black unicorn tiger to and attacked together. The others also did not be careless. Yenizhen's yin-yang carp swam around between her fists, advancing all around the skillful star's realm. Gongsun Huang's feet stood on air as she released star magic from the ancient pine brand sword she held. And Suan and Tang Lianxin also attacked. One used the child and mother-linked heart's needles, and the other called the Great Void Golden Lotus. Especially the earthly solitary star gold coin spotted leopard's Great Void Golden Lotus that could transform into the 18 arms of Wushu, able to catch people off guard. The 4-star generals cooperated with their full powers, baffling the 2 great supervoid middle-stage cultivators that were unbridled in all places. Shi Yuan released the 5 poisons array as she stood guard beside Su Xing. Seeing Su Xing in meditation, she was anxious and worried. Even if the battle outside the 5 dragons' colored glass lamp was separated by a void, the thief star could sense that aggression pounce in her face, only making the flea on a drum's whole body shiver. Su Xing, hurry. Shi Yuan thought. Su Xing's forehead leaked sweat. And at this moment, Su Xing met with a great trouble. After he released the 5 dragons' colored glass lamp, Su Xing's consciousness immediately was bound. At this time, he was at the center of some mysterious world. A colored glass world opened in the middle of his sea of consciousness. Multicolored auspicious clouds and immortal chi lingered. Countless flying heavenly immortals flew about in the sky. In the surroundings were monasteries and golden halls, Bodhi trees in blossom. And even farther away was a heaven-connecting pagoda. Manifestly superior in this colored glass world were the 5 dragons coiling about. When Su Xing looked over there, he only heard Brahmanistic chanting, like thunder in his ear. Listening closer, the Diamond Sutra, 9 Wonderful Lotus Flowers Sutra, Nirvana Sutra, Altar's Sutra of 6th Patriarch, and other sutras intermingled. The originally distinct dharmas were simply static to Su Xing's ears. Su Xing grit his teeth, enduring this noisy baptism as he flew towards that pagoda. Su Xing's forehead hurt. He knew this kind of illusion was perhaps Chao Gai's 3rd calamity, borrowing the endless light of the illusory colored glass void, trapping Su Xing. Everything was merely an illusion of his mind. If it was treated as real, then it was real. If it was treated as fake, it was fake. Real or fake, this was but a matter of a single thought. Even if Su Xing used heart like mirror or the oneness of heaven and man, he was completely unable to see through this. Lifelike enough to be suffocating. Su Xing blasted through. The Bodhi flowers successively bloomed and fell, but that pagoda seemingly had no limit. Regardless of how Su Xing flew, he always was still that far away. It was plainly in front of him, yet it was far on the horizon. The scene at this time changed again. The golden world at this time manifested several figures engaged in battle. Yingmei, Xinjie. Su Xing was shocked upon first seeing them. Upon closer inspection, fighting Lin Yingmei and Wu Xinji was Xie Chang'an's 5 Tiger General double clubs Huyan Shuang. However, Su Xing knew this was an illusion or perhaps a projection of this world. They did not hear a single thing that Su Xing said. Su Xing quickly flew without hesitation. Those illusory figures followed along, the scene of battle increasing in intensity, making Su Xing's heart worried. Ha, ha, never expected to surprisingly encounter the knowledge star. Truly, this is too good. Among the colored glass figures, Xia Chang'an used a sword array to trap Wu Xinjie. The flying swords twisted in attack, and the sword light pierced through Wu Xinjie's body. The knowledge star had the 9-tailed spirit fox block, but she was powerless. Then, Xie Chang'an's flying body raised an artifact, hooking Wu Xinjie's heart. When Lin Yingmei saw, she hurried in a panic to go save her. The flustered majestic star showed an absolutely enormous gap, seized by Huyan Shuang. Double clubs continuously pounded, ripping open terrifying wounds on Lin Yingmei's body. Today, the knowledge star and majestic star will starfall here. You can only blame that purple thunder monster for abandoning you. Xie Chang'an laughed. Su Xing felt as if his heart was being cut out. His sea of consciousness seemed to be sucked into something, and his head hurt. Not good, this is an illusion. Su Xing hastily guarded his mind, not allowing himself to be bewitched by this illusion. A scream again rose. Su Xing turned his head to look. Outside, Wu Xiao was struck by Aratha's punch. Half her body was utterly broken, and that Aratha's Vajra diamond characteristics was mighty beyond compare. He manifested 4 arms, one grabbing the great void golden lotus, spitting a Buddhist light that took Tang Lianxin's life. The efficacious star called forth the good fortune beast, promptly using life-returning magic hands to simultaneously save the elder sisters. Aratha let loose a giant hand that grabbed and squeezed good fortune to death, immediately using another arms to grab the girl. Yan Yizhen and Gongsun Huang were also suppressed into immobility by the powers Great Master Still Void used. The Yin-Yang carps had long been killed on contact by the Still Void Chan staff. Without the Yin-Yang carps, confronting the most powerful Buddha Kingdom's 6th ancestor Great Master Still Void, under that Nirvana Jewel will 10,000 Lives Sutra, the 2 girls were gradually beat back. Their bodies bore heavy injuries, their starlights gradually dimming. The circumstances apparently became increasingly extreme. Each detail was about to pull Su Xing closer into the abyss of hatred and despair. The heavily injured girls tottering on the edge of collapse were a miserable scene. Su Xing took in a deep breath. Rather than say his expression was chilly, it was better to say it was ice-cold. Ignoring everything, Su Xing shut his eyes, guarded his mind, and did not allow himself to be distracted by outside things. That lifelike scream and pain were seemingly not seen. Don't use this sort of laughable cheap trick. I understand Yingmei and the others far better than you do. Su Xing shouted at the sky. Purple Mansion immortal thunder fired, blasting that colored glass world to bits. Do you really think this is a laughable illusion? A voice was beside his ear. That disdainful mocking came from Chao Gai's mouth. Chao Gai, just what cheap trick is your 3rd calamity playing? Su Xing sneered. This is reality. Without you, the Star Master, you think the majestic star has a chance of winning a battle against the prestige star's Star Master? You think that the current Wu Song and others can fight against 2 of Buddha Kingdom's great ancestors? You think this is only meant to trick you? To treat this as an excuse to comfort yourself with, this is certainly disappointing. Su Xing sneered. Suddenly, he heard Tang Lianxin and Ensuan's groans. At the same time, Su Xing felt something return to his sea of consciousness. This is... Su Xing was shaken. Looking again at the projection, Ensuan and Tang Lianxin had already been killed. Chao Gai's phantom appeared in front of Su Xing, carrying that holier-than-thou attitude. Now you ought to understand, the 5 dragons colored glass light not only can blossom your meditative mind lotus seed, it will also allow you to fully taste the suffering of the people of this world. That everything is actually happening. If you do not comprehend this mystery, they will die. Oh, at least someone will die. Chao Gai gazed at the spent Wu Xiao. And the fatigued Lin Yingmei. Double Club's Hu Yanzhua's attack was increasingly fierce. Lin Yingmei already was powerless to block and could only lift her weapon. The raised double whips were like vipers, continuously biting Lin Yingmei's body, leaving splotches of blood, battered and bruised. Lin Yingmei's expression lost its normal might, leaving only a deep exhaustion. It is because you have violated the contract you signed that the mighty and renowned majestic star would fall to this stage. You must hear her dissatisfaction. Listen to this one's counsel. The sea of bitterness is boundless, yet a turn of the head is the other shore. Chao Gai calmly said. Su Xing looked blank for a moment, and then he smiled. Chao Gai, you talk too much. N. Buddha says, everything is an illusion. Su Xing was absolutely calm. Chao Gai was taken aback. Suddenly, the colored glass whirled, the falling Bodhi petals, and the monasteries collapsed. Outside the 7-floor stupa pagoda, Huang Fu Tianyi and his star general faceless Jiao Ruoxue stood on a pagoda, seeing that odd scene. Wind and snow mixed, the gale chilling. Everything at that place had been frozen solid, and in the blizzard, 2 figures endlessly flashed about. 2 weapons went back and forth, emitting bone-chilling sounds. Countless monks already kept their distance surrounding 3 chi, none dared to watch. Wow, that is the majestic star and prestige star heavens, 2 of the great 5 tiger generals. Huang Fu Tianyi simply felt this was unbelievable. The corner of his lips smiled excitedly and irritably. 2 great 5 tiger generals are battling each other. How exciting this is. Ruoxue, do you feel we can loot a burning house? He asked. Jiao Ruoxue shook her head, her denial extremely clear. Loot a burning house. She felt her master's brain had broken. Seizing this chance to send experience was a better description. Truly unreconciled, however, not seeing that skillful star truly is strange, maybe we can dispose of that knowledge star. Huang Fu Tianyi was unwilling to give up. The top 10 ranked star generals could not be encountered upon request, and he honestly did not want to miss this. The knowledge star's martial force is not anything at all, however, that star beast white fox is actually rather powerful, to unexpectedly break the sword array. Huang Fu Tianyi exclaimed. Just as Jiao Ruoxue was pondering the feasibility of this, she suddenly gasped, raising her head to gaze at an alley. That is... Clang clang. The crisp sounds of metal clashing rose. The 9-tailed spirit fox seemed to merge into one with Wu Xinjie. Suddenly, she and Wu Xinjie disappeared from the profound sword array. Impossible. Xie Chang'an pounced on nothing, shouting in disbelief. But he had only just yelled when Wu Xinjie already appeared behind him, her expression charming. Xie Chang'an's reactions were absolutely swift, for the 50 flying swords protected his whole body, leaving Wu Xinjie with no choice. Master, you will not use the 8 gates black gold chain? Hua Shui showed killing intent. No need for now. Wu Xinjie could tell that Xie Chang'an was unordinary. To be able to contract Maiden Mountain's 5 tiger general, he was not at all mediocre. It was best to have Xie Chang'an maintain caution. So long as she could stall until Lin Yingmei defeated Huyan Shuang, that was enough. Xie Chang'an indeed was stunned by Wu Xinjie's rapid change. Seeing Wu Xinjie's leisurely spectator attitude, he even thought that she had some trump card. However, the resourceful star was Maiden Mountain's ranked third anyway it was put. The more relaxed and at ease she was, the more she had a sort of mysterious adept's appearance. Xie Chang'an for a time hesitated whether or not to use full power. After all, he knew there was still a purple thunder monster. Everyone in the Azure Dragon territory knew that the majestic Star Panther Head and Purple Thunder Monster had signed a contract, but seeing Lin Chong yet not the Purple Thunder Monster made Xie Chang'an feel odd. Although Wu Xinjie did not match the description of the legendary Purple Thunder Monster, she honestly had this imposing style. Seeing Wu Xinjie focus so much on the Panther Head's battle, he merely took it to be absolute belief in Lin Chong. Xie Chang'an considered that at this point he could only observe any other changes. Xie Chang'an had originally thought to use resonance to help Huyan Shuang support Lin Yingmei, but thinking that the enemy perhaps was secretly spying, he could only dismiss this idea. How could he have known that Su Xing had already gone into the 7th-floor stupa pagoda at this time, and the reason that Lin Yingmei did not follow was only because she had lost her virginity? Anyone else would have thought that this was but a fantastic tale. Huyan Shuang coldly shouted, her double clubs rolling, blocking Lin Yingmei's icy spear. A club then turned into a whip, quickly threading in. Very amusing, Lin Yingmei said. Prestige Star double clubs Huyan Shuang's wind and moon unmatched rose, lifting a severe hurricane. Then, she suddenly stepped backwards, and then her leg kicked. With swallow-like speed, she charged, leaping and flying. Lin Yingmei accepted without question. Huyan Shuang's close-range attack once again approached, and Lin Yingmei twirled the spear behind her back, stopping the attacking whip. Her body slightly tilted, avoiding the attacking club. The Prestige Star's club and whip hardened and softened continuously during the attacks, her weapon technique more and more emergent, incomparably strange. Weapon opposed weapon. Appearing simple, the fact was that every collision was deadly. The pair's fight could be rated as unique, intolerant of the slightest mistake. Each attack and each block reached a supreme level. Lin Yingmei and Huyan Shuang from beginning to finish did not so much as glance at their own hands and destined star weapon. Their speed became faster and faster, attack and defense switching increasingly frequently. The movements of their bodies started to become as illusory as their hands, which made the spectating bystanders shocked into not believing their own eyes. The two's attack and defense honestly was too fantastical. In that instant, several hundred exchanges had already unfolded at high speed. The melody of the metallic ringing appeared especially ear-piercing, shaking the air. The collisions of Huyan Shuang's double clubs and Lin Yingmei's spear gave rise to giant impacts, causing the entire earth to shudder and the air to be even more thick. Huyan Shuang's double clubs posed, and the airflow on the clubs concentrated into sharp light, tearing the viscous atmosphere to shreds. Shredding with a walla sound, the air distorted. The club light was shattered. Lin Yingmei seemed to have suddenly disappeared, and when she reappeared, she was briefly blinding, her spear already stabbing at Huyan Shuang. Huyan Shuang raised her clubs to block this incoming attack. Hey! The spear suddenly disappeared. Lin Yingmei already was abruptly in front of Huyan Shuang. With an air-shattering brilliance, the spear tip became a gorgeous arc, and Huyan Shuang tumbled down. Hey! Lin Yingmei's expression was firm, chasing without hesitation. Before Huyan Shuang had even landed on the ground, the spear linked with a freezing temperature of death. Huyan Shuang's expression was grim, not daring to be careless at all. The corner of her mouth curled with a cold curve. Her double whips wrapped and wrapped around the spear, but then with a bit of force, the double whip still fell. This defense was broken without a sweat. Do you still wish to fight now? Lin Yingmei coldly said, her hair fluttering in the blizzard. Because the surrounding air temperature followed their ice-cold aura, it already seemed as if a cold winter had come early. With her fluttering hair and gentle maiden eyes, those icy and snowy pupils still were somewhat clear, somewhat nimble and merciless. Passing through that increasingly powerful cold light the exceptional destined weapon emitted, Hu Shuang could clearly see Lin Yingmei's eyes, but from what was transmitted in their exchange of weapons, it was not at all prideful fighting spirit or anger. Rather, it was a kind of indecipherable calm and a sort of leisure as if she was lifting a weight. Upset. Very upset. Worthy of that name, majestic star. Even if you hold the advantage in a battle with your servant, you still wish to let your servant go. This is the pride of 1,000-year star general. Although it is only by the 4th phase that we can indeed embody our worth as star generals, still, your servant still wishes to pit herself against you. Her aggression was slowly charging. The air around Prestige Star Double Club's Hu Shuang's body settled into a sort of state that was still as water. In the next instant, her shadow was already in front of Lin Yingmei, slashing with her double clubs, leaving no leeway. Sharper than a sword, amidst a ripping sound, she cut apart her target. But that was merely a shadow. A soft harumph came from behind her, where Lin Yingmei solemnly appeared. The Arctic Star Serpent Spear sneak attacked. Hu Shuang's reactions were extremely quick, and with a turn, she blocked. The double clubs emitted a firelight, retreating at the same time. Lin Yingmei wanted to continue advancing, to relentlessly skewer the Prestige Star in one go. How could she have anticipated the moment she raised her arm, her hand would seem to suddenly freeze. Not good. Prestige Star Hu Shuang smirked. Lin Yingmei felt grim. Hu Shuang's figure turned into a phantom, reappearing in less than half a second. This time, the double clubs became afterimages, flashing by in the air. It was basically impossible to see any attack path, and with only that instant of a chill, it seemingly was as fleeting as smoke and fire. There was no way to defend. The whip shadows surrounded Lin Yingmei's extreme chilliness that passed through skin and sunk into bone, organ, and nerve. This is dark rank. Lin Yingmei grit her teeth. She yelled. Before the Arctic Star Serpent Spear could slash, instantly, the whip's smoke and fire already intercepted her counterattack. Several streams of cold wind interwove and swam past Lin Yingmei's body. A sort of extreme chill entered her soul, making the girl feel her whole body was incapable of budging. Her whole body's consciousness and movements immediately slowed. Hu Shuang smiled. The smoke and fire suddenly blossomed in Lin Yingmei's surroundings. Lin Yingmei was hardly flustered. Her divine intent moved, crying frost. A white, winged beast suddenly appeared under Lin Yingmei. It possessed a psychic connection with its mistress, those light wings spreading like a heavenly canopy to shield her within. The chilly white light blocked everyone's lines of sight. And suddenly at this moment, Prestige Star Hu Shuang's icy voice pierced the air. Dark rank technique, firework turning into cold, the chilly fireworks on Lin Yingmei's body blossomed. A ripping sound agitated the ear, very unbearable, as countless whip shadows became blossoming fireworks, drawing an absolutely beautiful stifling scene in the air. Xie Chang'an was delighted. Hu Shuang exhaled. Suddenly, cold light pierced through. The Prestige Star did not anticipate this, and she was run through, her body actually sent flying 100 meters. The cold fireworks dispersed, and Lin Yingmei slowly appeared. Although she had some cuts, her expression also made people feel a stifling beauty of indifference. Snow-walking frost-eye beast. Hu Shuang spotted the star beast. Somewhat angry, truly, your servant was careless. Hu Shuang flipped over, and a piebald appeared that she sat upon. This was her snow-kicking ebony piebald. The two faced each other in midair, their star beasts releasing chills and frost, bits of ice sprinkling across the sky. With a sudden whoosh, they attacked each other. That is, out of the corner of Wu Xinjie's eye, she suddenly spotted something far away. With an abrupt and bewildered cry, her expression slightly changed. And at the same time, Xie Chang'an lowered his head and also spotted it, a young woman wholly clad in armor flowing with golden light, no, perhaps a little girl of 8 or 9 years old, approximately. Held in her hand was a gigantic 100-kilogram wolf-toothed mace that was currently rushing in their direction. On the roofs, she made leaps that were nearly dazzling, just like a hurricane. Wherever she passed, the buildings collapsed. She truly was thunder and lightning. Ingmei, careful. Schwanger, look out. Wu Xinjie and Xie Chang'an blurted at the same time. The two great five tigers' star generals were currently battling on their star beasts, nevertheless, the pair heard their shouts. Elder sister has come. Little sisters, eat elder sister's mace. Just as they hesitated, the air suddenly ripped to shreds. A frightening roar of wind came, accompanied by mischievous laughter, and a powerful force pressed down on them. Lin Yingmei and Huyan Shuang for the first time retreated, and after this, the earth rumbled as a hole several dozen meters deep was smashed into it. A petite and cute little loli leisurely holding 1,000 caddies wolf-toothed mace appeared before them. Wolf-toothed fire beacon mace. Fierce star fiery thunderbolt Qin Ming. The expressions of both Lin Yingmei and Huyan Shuang sunk at the same time, staring at the newcomer while in shock and still on guard. The little loli wore a happy expression. Qin Mingyue and Jin Qiongyu had not followed Qingzi to the 7th-floor stupa pagoda because she was helping advance to 4-star destined weapon. The pair had continuously searched for materials in the Buddha kingdom, however, the 7th-floor stupa pagoda's terrifying battle nevertheless drew them over. Qin Mingyue could sense from very far away the imposing auras of the majestic star and prestige star. Suddenly, without saying anything, she raised the wolf-toothed fire beacon mace. Let alone that the little loli's body was soft, she nevertheless fiercely faced two great five tiger generals and gave rise to maximum excitement. The reason was very simple, fierce star fiery thunderbolt Qin Ming was also one of Maiden Mountain's 5 tiger generals. Xie Chang'an's expression became exceptionally ugly. He was practically incapable of believing the fact in front of him, 3 of the great 5 tiger generals were fighting at the same time. Across the past star duels, this was unheard of before the 4th phase finished. Of course, Xie Chang'an being so unsightly was not only because of Qin Ming's 5 tiger status, the important thing was that inside Evil Smiting Hall, he and Huyan Shuang had fought with her over the snow-kicking ebony piebald. He feared that with Qin Ming's personality, she absolutely hated them to death. Originally, a turn of events that was slightly bad was now even worse. Huyan Shuang also felt this, and her expression was very cold. Little sister, this time, you will give me back my horse. Boom. Thief Star Shi Yuan looked at Su Xing's expression slowly turn from pain to tranquility. Her heart instantly relaxed. Originally, she honestly was somewhat anxious. Hearing the fighting outside turn increasingly fierce, Shi Yuan did not know just what was going on, but she only hoped that the elder sisters could hold on for just a while longer. In the void, Su Xing saw that colored glass world dissolve, and the pagoda was already now in front of him. Ha, ha. Chao Gai's unfathomable laugh faded, unknown if it was praise for Su Xing seeing through her illusion or if there was even more troublesome schadenfreude awaiting for him. The meditative mind lotus flower is much more challenging than this one's 3rd calamity. Until when can those girls help keep supporting you? Su Xing said nothing, silently flying onto the pagoda. The top of the pagoda had an identical 5 dragons colored glass lamp. This was the true body of the 5 dragons colored glass lamp. Su Xing began to sit in meditation, and the 5 silvery dragons wound around Su Xing's body. Immediately, an unprecedented light and energy flowed past Su Xing's whole body. These lights and energy of the Buddhist great ways were just like water beginning to irrigate the lotus seed inside his sea of consciousness. Su Xing was pleasantly surprised to sense that the utterly motionless meditative mind lotus seed in his sea of consciousness currently was showing signs of blooming. Su Xing began to continuously suck in this limitless light and then transforming into nourishment for the seed. Furthermore, this course of events was much simpler than he had thought, yet even more endless. You star generals truly are courting death. Do not think that you can be unbridled with Maiden Mountain's protection. Aratha furiously yelled. His Vajra Dharma characteristics were like gods and Buddhas, able to support both heaven and earth, his 4 limbs extraordinary in strength. Fighting him was skillful star wanderer Yen Qing. Yen Yizhen possessed the yin-yang carps, raising her realm already to an extreme that supervoid cultivators needed to be cautious. Facing this sort of Buddhist cultivator of surly and unreasoning physical body, if it was not Yen Yizhen, no one at the current phase was capable of contending. Aratha was resentful he was being entangled by Yen Yizhen. Seeing the endless light apparently being sucked away, Aratha's heart was distressed. He opened his mouth, no longer holding back, spitting out a lotus flower. This lotus flower bloomed, itself shooting out many lotus seeds. These lotus seeds immediately turned into several dozen identical Aratha doppelgangers. This was the great ability of the Vajra Dharma characteristics, Vajra lotus flower incarnation body. Although it was impossible for any one of them to possess superb cultivation like Aratha's real body, each of them were not to be underestimated. Wu Xiao and the others' plan to suppress the 2 supervoid cultivators with numbers was suddenly met with a challenge. Hey! Yen Yizhen's yin-yang Pisces fists suddenly exerted force. The lights of cold and warmth crisscrossed. The maid lightly moved, jumping to the side of one of the Aratha incarnations in an instant. The maid's pupils simultaneously flashed with the light of yin and yang. Upon closer inspection, her eyes were like a lake, the yin-yang carp seemingly swimming in her eyes. Extreme Realm, Vajra's demon felling fist, 2, all of the Aratha incarnations pounced the instant Yen Yizhen punched that Aratha incarnation. The girl moved, inconceivably chopping into his chest. Her left hand suddenly stuck into his neck, mercilessly squeezing. Even if he had Dharma's unbreaking body for protection, that throat was directly torn apart. As if she was throwing away trash, Yen Yizhen tossed that Aratha incarnation that was more than 200 kilograms far away. The incarnation died, instantly turning into a withered lotus seed. Aratha was furious. Each time his incarnations were harmed, that would also make him suffer losses. His divine intent moved, and the other Aratha incarnations acted as if they had not seen. All of them launched an attack at Yen Yizhen together. The Dharma sect's most powerful boxing technique pressed down. Practically like a mountain. Yen Yizhen's crimson pupils still were indifferent. In a flash, she left behind an afterimage of yin and yang in the air. The Aratha incarnations waved their fists, the movements fine and fierce. It was very difficult to imagine their boorish appearances could attack with movements this fine yet so dangerous. Powerful pressure overflowed from those fists, carving the air with an incessant chi-chi sound, displaying the extraordinary strength of these Aratha incarnations. Yen Yizhen's body seemed to lose its weight. Under the siege of these Aratha incarnations, she swam about, not caring how tight the attacks were. She always would find a gap in the attacks, timely dodging away. Those body techniques were swifter wind, but speed clearly was not the goal Yen Yizhen wanted to pursue. After all, Aratha was a supervoid cultivator, how could he be so easy to face? Yen Yizhen's expansive boxing did not bring much menace at all. Increasingly dodging the Aratha incarnations had bound the skillful star, so she was unable to display her boxing technique. Go! Tang Lianxin pointed. The great void golden lotus transformed into hundreds of arrows that fell like rain. However, an earthly star's destined weapon amounted to barely anything to a supervoid cultivator. Where did this star general come from to dare be unbridled in front of poor monk? An Aratha incarnation dashed straight to Tang Lianxin's front, his fists grabbing at the girl. Tang Lianxin raised the astral tool, falling star hairpin. A beam of gorgeous light shot out. Slap! The Aratha incarnation slapped it, as if he was swatting a fly, shattering that astral tool. Die! Aratha grabbed. But before he could get close, he was torn to shreds by an azure dragon. The one who used the star magic was Gongsun Huang. Thank you. Tang Lianxin softly expressed her gratitude. Gongsun Huang's gaze again returned to Great Master Still Void, activating a star magic to help alleviate the burden of confronting a supervoid cultivator. Seeing several Era the incarnations already give rise to menace, Yanizhan's eyes flashed cold light. Suddenly, her figure became countless afterimages. In the instant the Era the incarnations threw themselves at her, she already had lowered her body and stuck close to the ground, one leg sweeping like a whirlwind across the surroundings in a big circle. The fierce power added onto the skillful star's extreme realm body and martial arts was like a hurricane, jolting those Era the incarnations to the ground. Suddenly, a body slammed into something. Her short hair fluttering, a gorgeous light flashing past her pupils, Yanizhan's palms and a leg stuck in different directions, immediately sending 3 rushing Era the incarnations flying violently away. Yanizhan's hands were like blades, hundreds of times sharper than sword or spear. Because her strength was beyond tyrannical, the force of the wind pressure that arose filled Yanizhan's attacks. Even that Vajra-strengthened body could not withstand a single blow. The Era the incarnations that were sent flying raised blood splatters in the air. Clearly visible depressions appeared on each of their bodies. Bang! Those 3 Era the incarnations violently slammed on the ground, coughing blood from their mouths. They trembled from head to toe, still attempting to stand and fight, but the moment they stood, their bones immediately broke, suddenly laying them on the ground. Yanizhan's figure was like a sea swallow piercing through a hurricane, flying nimbly around. The other Era the incarnations were aghast, their attacks even more vicious. The cold and warm lights in her eyes were even more bright. Yanizhan had completely transformed into a most terrible killing tool. So long as she entered combat, Yanizhan never had a thought of contempt. The air was torn apart by countless trails of wind pressure. All of the Era the incarnations suddenly withdrew simultaneously. Simultaneously brandishing a fist, each of their punches brought a powerful force. Combined together, this unexpectedly was somewhat frightening in aggression. The fingers of her hand ripped the air to shreds. These Era the incarnations did not know what fear was, already rushing forth. Although the rush of these Era the incarnations was not as sharp as the original, the frightening air of their coordination made use of the pressure from their powerful charge. Aratha's eyes glinted, revealing an evil grin. Yanizhan's figure flashed. She faded from their encirclement. All of the aggression dissolved broken in an instant, the wind stopping its flow. The Era the incarnations that lost sight of their target were a bit stunned, but they would be even more terrified in a moment. A chill flashed past Yanizhan's eyes. One palm swatted at them, and a powerful force bubbled forth. The vanished wind suddenly gusted, following her hand and unexpectedly turning into a hurricane. Yanizhan rose towards the sky, her speed extremely quick, as if she had broken free of the limits of her body. The remaining Era the incarnations brandished their fists to block, but they merely found that this was the vestige of a phantom, that they were already too late. A frightening pressure instantly came from the sky. All of the Era the incarnations suddenly lifted their heads. Yanizhan's silhouette separated, inconceivably appearing in front of all of the Era the incarnations. The yin-yang fists exploded with cold light, surged with raging flame, rolling as she continuously brandished them. All of the Era the incarnations were caught in Yanizhan's attack this time. A terrifying power fiercer than flame, colder than ice instantly pressed on their heads. Upon contact with their bodies, a violent explosion happened at the same time. The air waves the explosion created pushed in all directions. Amidst it all, from time to time came the muffled grunts of the Era the incarnations. Under an attack of such concentrated power, to think of escape was clearly an incomparable luxury. But in the blink of an eye, all of the Era the incarnations became withered seeds and died. Extreme Realm, Swallow Flash Yin-Yang Samsara. Aratha stared blankly. Moreover, Wu Xiao and Gong Sun Huang had stalled Great Master Still Void. As Buddha Kingdom's peak Great Master, his cultivation and methods clearly were superior to Aratha's. Originally, when contending against star generals, Great Master Still Void appeared disapproving, even contemptuous. But Wu Xiao and the White Tiger Unicorn Tiger coordinated, and with the number 1 in magic energy Gong Sun Huang Star Magic, regardless of whether it was close combat or magic weapons, Great Master Still Void completely lacked means, even if he had the superb Super Void middle stage cultivation. However, he was a Buddhist cultivator after all. His magic energy was borderless, but without good magic weapons, he was no good. Roar! The white and black unicorn tiger pounced. Great Master Still Void attack with the Chan staff, striking back the white and black unicorn tiger. At this time, he just so happened to hear Aratha's shout. Great Master Still Void, this star general is very formidable. Your servant asks Great Master to not hold back. Aratha's ability incarnations were shocked and unnerved seeing Yenizhen. In the end, the Vajra Dharma characteristics manifested an Azura truth body, holding every sort of heavenly weapon for battle. Great Master Still Void was without choice. Chanting, he put his hands together and shouted, "Long may you live." 3. After he finished, Great Master Still Void flipped his hand and struck at Wu Xiao. Come to think of it, that was odd. That palm appeared to be ordinary and nondescript, yet at the same time he attacked, it was like Mount Tai bearing down on her. Wu Xiao felt a heavy pressure. That palm was like a weightless world about to suck her in. The white and black unicorn tiger fiercely pounced. Little White, quickly come back. Wu Xiao felt things were far from reassuring. That palm directly swatted the white and black unicorn tiger into a dying state. And at the same time, Great Master Still Void again swung his palm, attacking Gong Sun Huang. Before his palm arrived, an imposing air came first. Wu Xiao held the noble frost demonic lotus and advanced for direct confrontation. Great Master Still Void smiled. The power of his palm was seemingly universe overturning, and Wu Xiao immediately felt the vitality of her whole body be drained away. Such a powerful super void cultivator. Life-returning magic hands. When Ensuan saw this, her hand gestured. The good fortune beast appeared, spitting a beam of green light. Under that green light, the child and mother-linked heart's needles separated and stuck into Wu Xiao and the others' hearts. An endlessly surging spiritual power suddenly entered their limbs and bones. Rip. Wu Xiao slashed apart the long may you live in a spurt of energy. How could this be? A line of blood appeared on Great Master Still Void's hand. Hey! Blood splashing Mandarin duck. Just as he was thinking, Wu Xiao's second use of the dark rank technique already approached. Buddhism is without bounds. Great Master Still Void held the Chan staff, blocking Wu Xiao's counterattack. Great Master Still Void was somewhat unsightly. Again, he patted his forehead, and 12 Void Spirit Sarira emerged. Suddenly, with a Buddhist call, the sky immediately filled with a drizzling rain of light. Great Master Still Void sat on a lotus platform. The 12 Sarira became 12 celestials that simultaneously appeared, becoming a heavenly canopy. Wu Xiao and the others wanted to run, but they basically had no way of dodging, trapping Wu Xiao and the others inside. With things having reached this point, Great Master Still Void could only trap them for now. This, 12 Sarira, was Great Master Still Void's life-cast magic weapon. It could use a void to trap people. It was perhaps a bit difficult confronting a star general, but to trap them for a while was possible. In the blink of an eye, Wu Xiao, Gong Sun Huang, Tang Lianxin and Ensuan were trapped. When Great Master Still Void saw that Aratha was still entangled with the skillful star, he was secretly shocked. Without hesitation, he was about to charge into the 5 dragons-colored glass lamp. He had only flew a dozen steps when he suddenly felt the mountains rock and the sky tear. What is going on? Great Master Still Void was greatly astonished, only feeling that the magic energy in his whole body was being drained. He hastily protected his mind, sealing the outward leak of magic energy. Suddenly, a creaky cracking sound came from the air. Turning his head to look, Great Master Still Void immediately was about to vomit blood. The 12 Sarira void was like a broken egg. That terrifying quaking exploded out from within. The enormous rumbling shook the entire central celestial. The 12 Saraira unexpectedly dispersed with a bang. Great Master Still Void's mind entirely broke, sustaining damage along with the life-cast magic weapon. Immediately, he beckoned with his head, calling back the Saraira. The void shattered, and Wu Xiao and the others appeared. Among them, an exceedingly refined little loli that had always never drawn his attention now had brightly lit pupils, her voice loudly calling. That imposing aura jolting heaven and earth was released from her body. How is this possible? Great Master Still Void was pale, incapable of believing that his supervoid life-cast magic weapon would unexpectedly break. This naturally was Gongsun Huang's dark rank star magic, half-destroyed landscape. The shaking of the world also jolted the others of the central celestial into shouting. Wu Xinjia's expression slightly changed. And a violently angry shout again called her back to reality. Fiery thunderbolt Qi Mingyue's surprise arrival made the originally slightly subtle shape become increasingly more subtle. Lin Yingmei already finished preparations for combat against 2-5 tigers. How could she have anticipated that she would merely glance at Lin Yingmei, then launch an attack on Huyan Shuang? Prestige Star, where are you running? Elder sister truly is annoying. Huyan Shuang dodged. Qin Mingyue, cease. Just as Huyan Shuang was about to counterattack, a sudden change occurred. Another elaborately dressed woman appeared. Seeing her appearance was also beautiful, her hand holding a star weapon, she was none other than Jin Qiongyu. Just what is going on in this Buddha kingdom? Wu Xinjie could not fathom this. Why would there be so many star general sisters? What now, to obstruct Mingyue? Qin Mingchu was annoyed, the wolf-toothed fire beacon mace in her hand restless. Kill Lin Chong. Jin Qionyu's words were very surprising. Lin Yingmei was expressionless. Don't wanna. Qin Mingyue astonishingly declined. HM. Huyan Shuang stole Mingyue's star beast. Don't wanna, must defeat her. Qin Mingyue said and again revolted. But, Jin Qiongyu still wanted to say something, but Qin Mingyue already was determined to take down Huyan Zhua. When Wu Xinjie saw that things were increasingly strange, she immediately hinted to Lin Yingmei. Lin Yingmei no longer hesitated, and she soared upwards. Instantly, she attacked Xie Chang'an. Damn it! Xie Chang'an greatly changed. Wu Xinjie at this time simultaneously made a move. Seizing Silver Blade, she fired bullets. Where and how could Xie Chang'an have run? When Huyan Shuang saw this, she returned to protect, catching Lin Yingmei's spear, without distinguishing rank with elder sister. This truly makes your servant feel regret. Your servant, too. Lin Yingmei swept back her spear. Little sister, watch this mace. Qin Mingyue swung her mace. Huyan Shuang only felt that 3 of the 5 tiger generals once again battling only would make someone become the fisherman that snatched the snipe and clam. Coldly grunting, she glanced at Xie Chang'an. Each of them had tacit understanding, and they immediately used the jade pendant to escape. Infuriating me to death, they ran again. Fiery thunderbolt Qin Mingyue indignantly smashed the ground to bits. Lin Yingmei and Wu Xinji looked at her at the same time. Majestic star Lin Chong, now it is our turn. Qin Mingyue giggled, again turning her attacks to Lin Yingmei. The excitable little loli did not need any reply, for she immediately launched an attack. Lin Yingmei sneered, also full of interest towards this 5 tigers' little sister. The spear created a rolling, extreme cold. Wherever it passed, the ground seemed to freeze. Countless icicles seemed to grow like a forest below fiery thunderbolt Qin Mingyue's feet, full of a malevolent cold light. An exclamation. Formidable monks had already hid far away, not daring at all to be at this place. Because of her body's high-speed charge being pulled into a straight line, Qin Mingyue's body swayed. She concentrated the power of her whole body, ruthlessly pounding towards Lin Yingmei. Before the wolf-toothed mace arrived, a frantically bubbling cold air and a suddenly jetting icicle already were in her face. The cold wind dispersed in two directions, and a powerful air pressure made the air circulate with it, as if they were in a world of ice and snow. Lin Yingmei noticed the frightening might of this little sister's wolf-toothed mace. Her body speedily withdrew, as if there was something pushing her. Instantly, Lin Yingmei's entire body slid rapidly in the opposite direction. Instantly, she already surpassed Qin Mingyue's attack speed, and furthermore, she hardly stopped, continuously moving backwards, quickly leaving the combat area. Lin Yingmei's speed was certainly not any slower than fiery thunderbolt Qin Mingyue. Immediately, the girl's powerful straight-line attack fell on nothing. Fiery thunderbolt Qin Mingyue instantly reacted, directly twisting to turn in that direction, mercilessly smashing her strength upon that platform. Bang! There was a massive explosion, as if an earthquake arose. The four zhang in the range around the point on the ground that fiery thunderbolt Qin Mingyue's attacked made massive undulations. The ground seemed to have been shaken to pieces, countless stone fragments flying up from the ground. Countless fires sprouted from the ground, close to engulfing the entire area, obstructing Lin Yingmei's retreat. This was fiery thunderbolt Qin Mingyue's fire beacon attack. The powerful might made Lin Yingmei recognize that under the cuteness of the little lowly in front of her was an ice-cold demeanor. She nevertheless smiled. Similarly, her spear stabbed. Borrowing the powerful impact shaking the ground, Lin Yingmei's body was like a cannonball. Her whole body's skin seemed to become ice and snow. She quickly advanced through the ice forest, instantly shattering those seemingly sharp fire thorns. Her frightening speed already pulled a trail of afterimages behind her, several flashes already breaking through the layers of barriers to approach fiery thunderbolt Qin Mingyue. Fiery thunderbolt Qin Mingyue laughed, as if she was waiting for Lin Yingmei. The spear swept. Like the sound of glass cracking, the ground was a deathly stillness. Fiery thunderbolt Qin Mingyue made countless fire beacon thorns to instantly turn the ice fragments to dust. The pair's attacks also ended spontaneously. She did not expect that the Lin Yingmei who had obtained the key moment would be surprisingly tyrannical. That attack just now made fiery thunderbolt Qin Mingyue slightly astonished. She completely did not doubt that if she stopped, the next instant, Lin Yingmei's attack would certainly beat her into dust. An interesting elder sister. Fiery thunderbolt Qin Mingyue still smiled. Lin Yingmei very clearly did not have that much patience. With an ice-cold shout, her body in the haze seemed to flicker several times. At the same time, Lin Yingmei's speed surprisingly increased again. Even if she was already a completely blurry figure, several flashes continuously launched against fiery thunderbolt Qin Mingyue stifled her attack. As the most powerful martial general, in any case, she knew this point. To not give the enemy the chance to breathe. Attacking the enemy's weak point had always been war's first rule. As far as this point was concerned, the majestic star that had already thoroughly ingrained her combat tendencies into her bones naturally would not forget. Instantly, her body spun. Lin Yingmei's legs already borrowed the power of her spin to directly step onto fiery thunderbolt Qin Mingyue's calf. Powerful strength instantly exploded. It was very difficult to imagine that Lin Yingmei already combined speed and strength into a kind of state of perfection. However, it was very apparent that fiery thunderbolt Qin Mingyue already had no chance to go investigate in detail. Her entire body was lifted by the strength of Lin Yingmei's leg. She completely left the ground, suddenly flying high. Fiery thunderbolt Qin Mingyue was absolutely not the sort of character that could be trampled on. When her body was lifted into the air, she made a sluggish spin in midair to slightly look down. Her shoulders shuddered, and instantly she seemed to disappear. Immediately, a crisp noise rang in the air. The Lin Yingmei about to strike with all her might was taken aback. As if she was struck by lightning, the girl's body was halfway in a shiver when unexpectedly, she came into a brief standstill. In practically the blink of an eye, Lin Yingmei quickly switched to defense. Fiery thunderbolt Qin Mingyue's arms crisscrossed continuously in attack, the wolf-toothed fire beacon mace brandishing terrifying might. Speed and power combined was that kind of terror. From an outside perspective, the appearance of an arm could not be clearly seen at all. Only continuous pa-pa sounds like sprinkling beans in the night rang, and along with them came countless attacks on Lin Yingmei's spear that nearly perfectly blocked. Elder sister is formidable. Qin Mingyue smiled. The fiery thunderbolt flashed by. Lin Yingmei violently spun where she stood. She already was like a fire arrow charging into the sky, borrowing the suspension ability of her bodice. Instantly, she already arrived at Qin Mingyue's side. Her body fiercely spun, and countless spear shadows flew out ruthlessly from her, mercilessly stabbing Qin Mingyue's body. The immense strength from the majestic star's attack was transmitted outwards, making everyone shocked. Lin Yingmei's attack was displayed to its limit. Qin Mingyue's eyes flashed with an irascible cold light. In that concentrated attack, she unexpectedly saw an opening. Suddenly, she seized Lin Yingmei's ankle, and with a mighty shout, she swung Lin Yingmei down with all her might. The immense inertia made the bones of both parties let out intense groans. The sound of wind was gentle. Before Lin Yingmei smashed into the ground, she already nimbly landed. Her legs tread on cold frost, her hand holding the cold spear. Qin Mingyue began to pant, dejectedly saying, "Can't defeat elder sister." Ah, Qin Ming, can only merely achieve this degree? Lin Yingmei held the spear with one hand, her spear tip pointed at Qin Mingyue, a speck of snow, bringing with it slight provocation. Qin Mingyue giggled, showing a canine tooth. The wolf-toothed fire beacon mace's fire dragon coiled. The surrounding ice and snow completely evaporated. The cold of Lin Yingmei's blizzard and the heat of Qin Mingyue's fire beacon mutually opposed, forming a completely contrasting scene. "Little sister, watch this mace." The wolf-toothed fire beacon mace pounded. The giant wolf-toothed mace stirred everything into a flurry. Lin Yingmei raised her spear to forge ahead, the extreme ice and fire suddenly producing a suffocating impact. Wu Xinjie retreated several steps, withdrawing to a safe range. Her furrowed brows then glanced at the Jin Qiongyu assuming a hostile and wary stance. Far away, on a tower, Huang Tianyi struck his palm, overlooking the battle between the two, his whole body warm then cold. He exclaimed, "So incredible, with this sort of powerful martial force star general present, we basically do not have a chance of victory, right, Ruoxue?" Evil star faceless Jiao Ruoxue wore a mask that obscured her expression, but her eyes leaked a graveness that was more or less the same as what Huang Tianyi thought. Although that fourth phase still has that variable of defeating a heavenly star at the critical moment, that chance is too hazy. Huang Tianyi held his chin. Watching the two fight so fiercely, his heart was restless. It was rare to encounter a star duel between 5 tiger generals. If both sides were injured, that would actually allow him to take the advantage. However, now, it seemed this sort of thing would be very unlikely to occur. Huang Tianyi did not wish to watch so idly. He always felt not doing anything for this sort of once-in-a-blue-moon opportunity was too pitiful. "Young master, do you still wish to face Lin Chong?" Jiao Ruoxue felt her master was unavoidably too bold. "Oh!" Huang Tianyi suddenly exclaimed, "the majestic star and the purple thunder monster signed a contract, everyone knows that, but not having seen him for so long, even with 2 5-tiger generals appearing, is he still hiding someplace? Putting his own star general out like this, it is too strange. Perhaps he has not come here yet." Faceless Jiao Ting answered. "Not here, then where would he be? It cannot be possible that he allowed Lin Chong to come to the Buddha kingdom alone." Huang Tianyi asked. "Perhaps he has gone to the 7th-floor stupa pagoda," Jiao Ruoxue leisurely said. "Could it be you are not allowed to bring a star general into the 7th-floor stupa pagoda?" Huang Tianyi pondered. The pair's battle was already awfully busy, increasingly white-hot, and even Huang Tianyi himself was very excited. Jiao Ruoxue followed her master's thinking. Regardless of whatever this man wanted to do, actually making a move against the majestic star was fine, as was leaving this place. So long as it was his decision, evil Star Faceless would not speak even half a word at all. The other side of shamelessness was cunning. Jiao Ruoxue did not have reason to not believe her cunning Star Master. If this is the case, ha, 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 ha. Huang Fu Tianyi facepalmed and howled with laughter. His blood was increasingly boiling, somewhat difficult to control. Young master. Ha, 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 truly, the heavens are helping me. On Huang Fu Tianyi's face reappeared the cunning that Jiao Ruoxue was familiar with. Clearly, he had an idea. What do you mean? Ruoxue, prepare to go kill this majestic star and knowledge star. I will take this opportunity. Huang Fu Tianyi grinned. The muscles of his whole body instantly swelled. The Buddhist symbol was clearly visible on his skin. The skin that was visible to the outside manifested a flowing, gold luster, with golden dragons appearing. These golden dragon lines seemed to come alive. On Aratha's sturdy body, they contorted like hills, showing an extremely frightening scene. His 6 arms directly surpassed all bladed weapons. Aratha fiercely raised a fist, as if he had seized the world in his hand. Dharma Wan technique with this sort of ability, no wonder Aratha could call himself one of the mighty 6 ancestors. His eyes brimmed with a Buddha-like sternness. Aratha's attack carried a heaven and earth flooding solemnity that showered down. His 6 arms or fists, or blades, or palms, or staffs, or wheels of eternal life, or mark of fearlessness vaguely had a sort of undefeatable divine might. Yan Qing, Dai, Yu. Such a powerful imposing air would have already completely subdued any other star cultivator, rendering them powerless to resist, but Yan Yizhen's face did not show the least bit of astonishment. On the contrary, there was a slight mocking indifference. His heart was slightly astonished. Aratha gave rise to odd indignations when he saw Yan Yizhen's aloof manner. But at this time, there already was no chance to turn back. It already happened in a sudden moment. The skillful star maid's flexible body carried a whistling wind that filled the skies, leaping over with an incomparably wild leap. Instantly, she appeared in front of him. Her 2 palms suddenly were placed upon his fists that were larger than weapons. The yin-yang carps swam, and the light in her palms extended 100 zhang. The 2 types of powers of cold and warmth suddenly transmitted into his bones. Aratha was incomparably surprised and froze. Unexpectedly, he discovered his own Wan technique's powers had been restrained. Impossible. Glancing in terror, what appeared in Aratha's eyes now was a pair of blood-red eyes, indifferent enough to make this Buddha Kingdom's 6th ancestor, this supervoid cultivator's heart go cold. Aratha's heart rose with the premonition of danger, but it seemed the premonition was not as fast as Yan Yizhen's speed. The former was still slow a step. In the cracks of her fingers peeked out twisting auras of blue and red. Yan Yizhen's low shout was already violently transmitted outwards. Hey! An abrupt forceful pull stopped Aratha in the air. Yan Yizhen's palm technique was wild, dazzling and glaring. Aratha mustered all his strength to counterattack, but he could never find Yan Yizhen's attack. Each time a palm struck, a Buddhist mark on Aratha's flesh would immediately disintegrate. Aratha was shocked to feel his own Dharma One technique that was powerful in offense and defense seemed to become a sort of futile and comical illusion in the face of the skillful star's palm technique. This was the strength of a legendary fiend star. He only heard the unimaginable sounds of Yan Yizhen's palm technique impacting his body. As if each palm was full of a rhythmic feeling. From an outsider's perspective, Yan Yizhen did not seem to be palm striking, rather it was more like she was playing the guzheng. How could the Aratha that had been firmly suppressed be so willing? His 3 heads and 6 arms simultaneously fanned out, yet he found he could not muster the slightest bit of strength. Hey! As if she set down a brush, Yan Yizhen's palms came together. Star energy pierced through Aratha's chest, sending this Buddhist Vajra flying, and at the same time, the Azura transformation completely collapsed. Snapped bowstring magnolia lily ballad. 2. Dark rank palm technique. Great Master Still Void's whole body was a bright void, manifesting 9 empty mountain white lotuses. These lotuses bloomed and closed, releasing white and black light, making Great Master Still Void appear to be in a mist, unclear. This was the powerful, 9 marked white lotuses. 3. Power of the empty mountain secret etc. The white lotuses protected his body, not inferior at all compared to the Azure Dragon territory's powerful defensive prehistoric spirit treasures. If it was any other Azure Dragon territory cultivator or such, Great Master Still Void practically was certain to not lose. But Great Master Still Void at this time confronted a star general. Furthermore, she was a top-notch star general. The result was completely different. The Azure Dragon's light rays wandered one after another and struck the empty mountain white lotuses. Even if the white lotuses bloomed any larger, they could not bear this endless attack. Without even a moment, the white lotuses withered in succession. The white light was increasingly dim. Great Master Still Void's expression was considerably ugly, nevertheless, he had no way to sense even the slightest gap. The cool and elegant pilgrim currently was unstoppably suppressing him into having no room to breathe. This is a star general of Maiden Mountain. Great Master Still Void brandished his staff. Cold light split, and the Chan staff magic weapon broke in two with a snap. This is a star general of Maiden Mountain. Great Master Still Void's complexion changed. Cloud wandering Azure Dragon turn. Gong Sun Huang suddenly, unexpectedly activating star magic again. She raised the multicolored sword, the Azure Dragon radiating light, immediately slamming into Great Master Still Void. The 9 marks lotus flower comparable to prehistoric spirit treasures had fallen. This is a star general of Maiden Mountain. Great Master Still Void was shaken. The black noble frost demonic lotus suddenly wound around beneath his eyelids. Not good. Wu Xiao had drew near his front, suddenly raising her sword and swinging, the cold light splitting apart the void. Rip. The white lotuses all withered. Great Master Still Void's powerful ability finally broke. A giant hole opened in the Great Master's gut. Noble Frost demonic lotus directly slashed through, and a wound deep enough to reveal bone nearly cut Great Master Still Void in two. Great Master Still Void took 100 steps back, vomiting blood. Shocked to death, at this time, he sensed that Aratha had been pounded into a pulp by Yenizhen. As two of Buddha Kingdom's ancestors, for them to surprisingly retreat step by step in defeat, Great Master Still Void simply was incapable of believing this. This is a star general of Maiden Mountain. Spiritual aura distribution. And Suan activated her magic, and spiritual power gradually filled. Wu Xiao seized this chance to arrive in a single step, leaping and slashing. Just as she was about to slay Great Master Still Void, a 7-tiered lotus platform rapidly flew over. The lotus platform released multicolored light that blocked Wu Xiao's attack. The lotus platform covered her. Wu Xiao nimbly flashed past, instantly moving back. The realm of non-obstruction of phenomena, the realm of non-obstruction of principle, the realm of non-obstruction between principle and phenomena, the realm of non-obstruction between phenomena. All living things have the wisdom and virtue of the thus come one, yet because of their idle thoughts and attachments, they fail to realize it. 5. A clear Buddhist chanting approached stepping on auspicious light. The 7-tiered lotus platform also forced Yenizhen away. Afterwards, it flew back, and an extremely aged old man walked slowly out. Benefactors, there is no need to treat my Buddha's holy item with such attachment, Amitabha. Great Master Shenhui kindly smiled. Supervoid middle stage, another has come to court death. Wu Xiao sneered. The meditative mind lotus seed steadily absorbed the radiance of the 5 dragons colored glass lamp. The lotus seed germinated in his ocean of consciousness, about to bud, but afterwards, whatever which way Su Xing irrigated that Buddhist light onto the lotus seed, the meditative mind lotus seed merely floated in the light, no longer with any sign of growth. Why do I feel something's missing? After experiencing Chao Gai's third calamity, Su Xing already made himself enter the world as an illusion realm. According to reason, he was already approaching the supreme great way of Buddhism, but whether or not he lacked something, the meditative mind lotus seed stirred from beginning to end yet was incapable of breaking free of its shackles. The meditative mind lotus seed was Buddhism's supreme secret treasure, a collection of boundless dharma. Blooming this lotus would make the wielder akin to Buddha. Su Xing thought of the requirements pertaining to the meditative mind lotus seed. In actuality, it was very simple, only 6 characters. No thought, no marks, no abidance. 6. These 6 characters were Buddhism's highest realm. The so-called no thought was to be free of false thought. To stay with all distinctive characteristics, to leave all distinctive characteristics, namely, this was no marks. No abidance represented the meaning of avoiding mental constructs in daily life, non-abidance. Buddhism inherently lacked nature, inherently lacked cause, inherently lacked abidance, following karma. Su Xing's mind had already reached the still as waters realm. No thought naturally was not a problem, the 5 dragons colored glass lamp's endless light was no marks, and this boundless dharma was the no abidance. Blooming this meditative mind lotus seed required one to possess the mind of no thought, the magic energy of no marks, and boundless dharma. This dharma was labeled the genuine supreme great way of the 3,000 sects of Buddhism. Su Xing had crammed on a great deal of dharma, heard every sort of scripture in the third calamity, yet how could he have foreseen that the meditative mind lotus flower would be powerful beyond his imagination? Buddhism, the Buddhism that poured into the meditative mind lotus flower was enough for it to fully flower. Sensing an imminent danger on the outside, Su Xing endlessly sent dharma into the lotus seed, sparing no effort. The 5 dragons colored glass lamp made a loud dragon roar, the light glowing bright. The 7-floor stupa pagoda manifested a budding lotus flower, and all Buddhist disciples prostrated in worship. Wu Xinjie lifted her gaze, revealing a mysterious smile. It seems the meditative mind lotus seed's dharma is still insufficient, then the 10,000 Buddhas ought to be enough. Two powerful figures battled back and forth without any pause. Even the eye was too late to keep up with their speed. The next 40 or so consecutive exchanges were too much for the eyes to take in. Fiery thunderbolt Qin Mingyue's giant wolf-toothed mace was like an iron rampart that blocked Lin Yingmei's overwhelming attack. Though the lowly's body was small, her strength was nevertheless ample. "Little sister, watch this mace." Fiery thunderbolt Qin Mingyue in her excitement had even called the ranked 5th Lin Chong a little sister. Lin Yingmei was indifferent. Her leg strength was astonishing, bounding 100 chi with a single leap. With ice-cold determination, her spear stabbed down, and 100 threads of spear-killing intent were slashed out at nearly the same time, descending like a torrential downpour. The wolf teeth of the wolf-toothed fire beacon mace burst forth with 100 wisps of wolf smoke. The ground beneath them was destroyed, treated like bean curd in its destruction, ravaged to pieces. Wind, thunder, lightning flash. Wu Xinjie was still watching the spectacle when that earthly skillful star jade-armed craftsman Jin Qiongyu already was impatient. The 5-star dragon carving hammer, phoenix engraving nail was in hand, a curtain of rain and lightning descended, the speed too fast to see. Hua Shui's pupils glowed. She spat white flames, contesting against Jin Daijian, wind, thunder, lightning flash, dark rank magic. The thundernet that covered the sky blew the place Wu Xinjie was standing on to bits. Wu Xinjie slowly sighted, breaking free of the thundernet, a 5-star destined star weapon, worthy of jade-armed craftsman Jin Daijian. Humph. Jin Qiongyu again pounded the dragon carving hammer. Although she was not worth a mention in terms of earthly star martial arts or magic, as far as confronting the knowledge star was concerned, Jin Qiongyu would not shrink back. When Lin Yingmei saw that Jin Qiongyu had entangled Wu Xinjie, she slashed back Qin Mingyue. Her figure swayed, leaving behind an afterimage. A chill abruptly pierced her back. Jin Qiongyu was startled, hastily thinking of dodging, but Lin Yingmei's speed honestly was too fast. In practically the blink of an eye, she was already behind her. The Arctic Star Serpent spear thrust out, running through Jin Cheongyu without the slightest hesitation. Lin Chong, release her. Qin Mingyue's wine-red pupils flickered with light. The little girl gave a crisp shout, sitting on a red, winged star beast. The star beast roared, flashing beam of red light. Just as Lin Yingmei was about to deliver the finishing blow, the little loli fiercely brandished a tyrannical slash. Lin Yingmei retracted her spear to block. The air burned. Fiery thunderbolt clenched her mace and smashed it down. The wolf-toothed fire beacon mace released a fire dragon, spitting out fire and thunder. The world was a complete red, like a heaven-swallowing beast, opening its jaws wide to devour Lin Yingmei. The blizzard of 1,000 meters instantly evaporated. Powerful flames surged like a falling galaxy, engulfing everything, truly despairing. Dark rank technique, flames swallowing rivers and mountains. 2. The Star Beast and Qin Mingyue's dark rank became one. This flame-swallowing rivers and mountains was far from the ordinary by 100 times. Freezing frost of 9 provinces. The Arctic Star Serpent spear released an ice-cold trail, boldly ripping open a corridor in the middle of these tyrannical flames. The ice and frost's luster rose and beat back the flames. Ah! Qin Mingyue was greatly shocked. Cold light pierced through her armor, sending the little loli flying with a swing of the spear. At the same time, flames swallowing rivers and mountains immersed a range of several li and turned everything to ash. Only one person stood proudly among this, her eyes absolutely cold. She. Lin Yingmei. Her whole body had been scorched by the flames. The indestructible bodies of star generals very quickly healed their wounds, but having received a puncture wound, that process would not be so quick. Lin Yingmei drew in a deep breath. Both Jin Cheongyu and Qin Mingyue were injured. The majestic star grasped her spear, and just as she fluttered for a strike. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew by. The Arctic Star Serpent spear swept forth, but it was blocked by a pair of fists. Her eyes dazzled, and the opponent seized the opportunity to grab. Lin Yingmei slightly retreated, soaring and somersaulting. The tip of her foot was like a razor, kicking her opponent's chin with a pa sound, ending her counterattack. A pious mask then appeared before her. Faceless Jiaoting. Lin Yingmei's brows knit together. Dragon Punch. Jiao Ruoshua's fists came together, their figure forming a dragon, using her dark rank boxing technique without any hesitation. A spear tip intercepted. The powerful attack forced Lin Yingmei back continuously several hundred steps. Heaven and earth inverted. Faceless Jiao Ruoshua in the next second then used her second dark rank. Her palms changed non-stop, and Lin Yingmei's spear stuck into air. Watch this sword array. Huang Fu Tianyi pointed, and several dozen flying swords wound around Lin Yingmei's head to cover her. The two had waited for an opportunity to move, their coordination could be described as tacit, acting without any mercy. Yingmei. Wu Xinjie quickly fell before Lin Yingmei's front, Hua Shui spouting white flames. Humph. Huang Fu Tianyi and Jiao Ruoshua's teamwork actually did not give Lin Yingmei too great a trouble. Just as Lin Yingmei was about to counterattack, suddenly, Huang Fu Tianyi raised 36 talismans. The talismans transformed in midair, combining with the sword array, shooting out rays of multicolored light, trapping Lin Yingmei and Wu Xinjie within. When this light appeared, the star crests on Lin Yingmei and Wu Xinjie's foreheads immediately turned from extreme twinkling to suddenly dimness. This was Northern Dipper Heavenly Cycle Array. 3. Lin Yingmei and Wu Xinjie simultaneously froze. The Northern Dipper Heavenly Cycle Array was one of the arrays that could be counted with fingers that were capable of measuring a star general in the star duels. Besides being ineffective in handling the Pilgrim's Array of the Pilgrim, including the Jade Qilin, the Northern Dipper Heavenly Cycle Array was a thorny finisher. However, this finisher had a weakness. It could only target contracted star generals, and at that time, the Star Master must not be nearby. In previous star duels, star generals and star masters practically kept close to each other, so the Northern Dipper Heavenly Cycle Array very rarely saw a chance for use, let alone that preparing this Northern Dipper Heavenly Cycle Array required enormous amounts of materials. Few people had this, and Wu Xinjie originally had a sketchy version of the array, and in addition, this was giving her just desserts. That time she used the Northern Dipper Heavenly Cycle Array against Lin Chong was still fresh in her memory. She never expected she would ever see it again here at this moment. But compared to the one she originally had, Huang Futian's Northern Dipper Heavenly Cycle Array was much more powerful. The moment the array emerged, it was just like they sunk into a bottomless pit, steadily and endlessly sucking away the pair's star energy. Huang Futian showed a victorious attitude, arrogantly declaring, "Today, your last day has come. Never expected that your servant will become the first." Huang Futian laughed. Nearby, Qin Mingyue and Jin Qiongyu also stared blankly. "How about we cooperate to kill this majestic star and knowledge star? You and I can share." Huang Futian proposed. Qin Mingyue does not want to. Qin Mingyue grasped the wolf-toothed mace and was about to strike. But she was pulled back by Jin Qiongyu. "Mingyue does not like this sort of man." Qin Mingyue was disdainful. "Elder sister cannot. Lin Chong is our enemy." Jin Qiongyu was cautious. Qin Mingyue gnashed her teeth. "Precisely, that purple thunder monster moves about the azure dragon territory unbridled. If we do not get rid of the majestic star of this generation's star duels, we completely lack any chance of success." Huang Futian was imposing. Jin Qiongyu whispered. It was not known what she said, but the little lowly bit her lip, conflicted and unwilling. "Lin Chong, Wu Yong, if you want to blame someone, blame your master." Huang Futian was afraid of complications from delays. At once, he beckoned, making the flying swords attack the two. So as to be sure, he simultaneously threw out several hundred high-grade talismans. So long as he could kill the majestic star and knowledge star, this loss would be worth it in comparison. Having been trapped by the Northern Dipper Heavenly Cycle Array, Lin Yingmei and Wu Xinjie basically had no way to budge. They stared as the killing blow approached. "AI." Wu Xinjie sighed. "Rip." Sword light twisted, grinding apart the endless Buddhist light. The Brahmanistic sounds fell apart, and the lotus platform crumbled. Great Master Shenhui stared in shock at the sword sticking into his stomach. Great Compassion Palm. Great Master Shenhui's palm struck Wu Xiao's shoulder. The bones in her shoulder blade disintegrated, sending Wu Xiao flying. The skies released several dozen rays of green light. Gongsun Huang activated star magic to block Great Master Shenhui's pursuit. Great Master Shenhui did not hold back in the Buddhist aura protecting his body, blocking the star magic, but following close behind was the slash of a sword that the Great Void Golden Lotus had turned into. Great Master Shenhui raised a magic weapon with difficulty to defend. Without his vague calm from before, the current Great Master Shenhui, Aratha and Great Master Still Void were all alike in their horror. "Great Master Shenhui, we definitely cannot show any mercy. Poor monk fears not even Emperor Liang can defeat this star general." Great Master Still Void and Aratha urgently called. "Set down the 10,000 karma, a chant does not birth the Astasina, quickie coming to listen to Dharma." Great Master Shenhui put his palms together, crossing his legs in a meditative posture, chanting the Astasina gods and ghosts scripture. 5. The greatest difference between Buddhist cultivators and Azure Dragon cultivators was that the powers of Buddhist cultivators had always concentrated into a single type of Chan. Although their powers were not as varied as those of the Azure Dragon Territory's cultivators, they often were incomparably powerful. Great Master Still Void's 9 marked white lotuses, and Aratha's Vajra lotus seed transforming body, were both like this. Great Master Shenhui also was not an exception. When he began to sing the scripture, instantly, the Buddhist aura Great Master Shenhui's body glowed brightly. Lotus flowers bubbled forth in the void, and Brahmanistic chanting sang loudly. 8 giant monsters broke free of Great Master Shinhui's forehead, becoming 8 fanged and toothed monsters, each very sinister and demonic. These 8 were Buddhism's famous 8 non-human beings. The 8 non-human beings crammed the top of the pagoda, their imposing air overflowing the heavens, directly in Wuxiu and the others' faces that they could not breathe. Great Master Shinhui was also on the final leg to Supervoid late stage, and his cultivation could be said to be at the peak. Using this ability was no small matter. The Astasina exhibited malevolent forms. Even the star generals unrivaled in close combat could not avoid drawing in a breath. Great Master Shinhui recited scripture. The 8 non-human beings immediately pounced. One breathed a cold light, another's murderous air soared, another gave off a weird scent, another was deadly to the peak, and another was swift as lightning, fierce as a gigantic bird. 6. The 8 non-human beings each used their abilities and methods in succession. If it was any other cultivator, they would have been swept into smithereens by these 8 non-human beings. Wuxiu and the others were completely fearless. She grasped her double-ended sword and advanced. The Astasina and 5-star generals immediately battled, shaking the heavens and earth. The world changed, but this Supervoid middle stage honestly was powerful. Under Great Master Shinhui's continuous chanting, the non-humans beings were increasingly wild, boiling over with a rolling imposing air, as if it could overturn the sky and seas. The 7-floor stupa pagoda shook violently, as if it was about to topple. A while after, the non-human beings finally stopped their rampage. Great Master Shinhui panted, recalling the ability. Using the non-human beings was because there was no alternative. Otherwise, Great Master Shinhui did not want to use this. However, even a star general would die without doubt. Great Master Shinhui thought to himself that he had sinned. Suddenly, he found that Wuxiu, Gongsun Huang and the rest were standing neatly in their original spots. Let alone being dead, not so much as a hair had been harmed, as if the non-human beings just now had been an illusion. How is this possible? Great Master Shinhui was shocked. Wuxiu and the others were also simultaneously shocked and in disbelief. Elder Sister Suwen. Tang Lianxin suddenly cried out in astonishment. Everyone looked. And Suwen's whole body glowed with green light, like a fairy. Good fortune lay beside her, nevertheless at its last breath. The girl's eyes were tightly shut, with a sort of indescribable tenderness and serenity. Could it be you took on the entirety of poor monk's Astasina on your own? Great Master Shinhui was shaken. And Suwen opened her eyes. The green light scattered, like smoke, like rain. Dark rank star magic, mind-stealing smoke and rain. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.